in the tea leaves, she's a witch. Show her the water. No, as we head in to our first match against Sentinels and NRG. Shock, I am looking forward to this. As you said, storied organization. Sentinels are no stranger to comeback victories. They've done it in the MRI in the past. Let's see if they can bounce back from their 0-3 last matchup, or will Shock take that loss and bounce back and look stronger against, we lost.
Well, both teams focusing on that Gambit removal off the rip into the Mantis ban for NRG Shock. And this was kind of what we were thinking about Sentinels and what they were going to play. The Mantis stuff has been good. We actually saw this in EMEA today. Mantis banned into Protect instead of the Elsa. So that's a bit of a difference of opinion that is going to matter long term. Now, for Sentinels, I don't know, Shib, are they going to go for that Invisible Woman ban, probably the Doctor Strange ban, maybe leading up? Or do they just go for that one-sided Elsa? But that's going to leave, either the Doctor Strange or that Invis open moving on.
That's a tough, well, it looks like it's going to be low-key for the current moment, just because they want to be able to not have to worry about greens if they are going to try to provide some sort of combination ultimate or anything. Oh, Psych, I lied. They floated it, but they went Vanpool, which I don't think is a bad ban, but I think Vanpool, we've seen some bans of that today, but I think it's very much a priority target in this current meta. Maybe we'll shake up as things change, and there is that lock of Loki, so they were floating it and thinking about it, and that might have been the right call if it wasn't going to disrupt their plan.
Yeah, I mean, Velocity is a very good Loki player, and I think this team plays well around it, so that's definitely a focal point for them. And Sentinels, I know they want to play triple compositions generally, or at least they feel very good on them. Daredevil currently open. Obviously, Rymazing hovered it, so that's currently an option. But maybe you force out another strat ban for this instead with the Ultron Protect. Maybe you weren't even wanting to play the Ultron stuff or had the option, so they go for that Jeff ban at the very end. So it's 4 strat bans on the Sentinels, whereas NRG Shock, they had a little bit more fluctuation with the Gambit, Elsa, and Vanpool. Like you mentioned, Shib, banning out a lot of the sort of top heroes, a lot of people would say, but maybe not taking into account synergy, from the backline bans for Sentinels.
Yeah, and you can see Flame's thinking right now. Flame's saying, I'm not sure what I exactly want to run. I think the Loki's not bad. You're likely going to have to copy something like, Chime over there on the Mantis. You want maybe some other solution. And yeah, I was going to say, you want some sort of strong ultimate if you're going to run a triple. Have 2 that are kind of playing their own game, and then 1 that you can rely on as an answer. So we'll see what they elect to run as they get out the door. But it looks like Ultron may not be the case, and they might run something more traditional, maybe with Rye on that DD, which I don't think is a bad idea. You mentioned Sentinels really like that triple backline, but it's not necessarily been a guaranteed win condition for them, and it is going to be something they do like to do.
I mean, the thing is, in the last series we saw some struggling map 1 with the triple comp, but that was with the Jeff, obviously. Whereas, I mean, you would think Jeff would do solid on this map, and Dive was kind of successful. But we'll have to see what both teams lock out on at the beginning of this one, because as you guys both mentioned and pointed out, as Mir does the 360s, by the way, this guy ruined the game for a lot of people. This guy just does 360s all the time, by the way. If you're going to see a Mir POV, this is the reason every player ever does it, is because Mir just started off the high sense guy that does that crap. So, yeah, both teams wanting to run that triple composition.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's so funny. It's just a testament to seeing how accurate you can be with your rotation and how comfortable you are with your sensitivity. It's almost like an aura check, a call out to make sure teams can do that if they have the sense locked in like that. But yeah, taking the high ground right now. This is where we see a lot of times this Ultron style. You want to play around this natural cover. Great idea for the comp they're trying to run. Window going to dive in heavy, but not quite make it there as it gets clipped by the ledge. Madara's going to be on that Groot as well, and this is going to try to, this is what we see when they are running those triples. It's a pretty decent answer.
I mean, the planet slow both sides at the current moment. Ryder's getting pokes out. Green's already pushed for NRG's side, but it's Stinkers who actually strikes first blood. Flame goes down early, removing the Luna Snow on Sentinels. So much damage that you talked about is now removed.
Yeah, and we're going to see now Stinkers on the right side, long side, good positioning, 17, 18% and climbing. NRG doing exactly what they wanted. I think they're running a composition that plays very strong into what Sentinels are trying to do. You're going to make sure Stinkers is consistently damage boosted. He's going to apply so much pressure onto Rymazing on that Ultron, and then allow your Vanguards, like with Madara with that Groot, to just walk down their Vanguards, cut off the LOS with those walls, and just burn them down, not allowing this triple to get too much value. Yusher with good focus there on the walls, though, now looking over towards Window, trying to get this point back, but 40% and climbing.
I mean, they're playing in friggin' Narnia. Just bolt the Jeff and the Loki cross map, just pocketing. Here comes the Ultronaut finally, but they can bunker up. Maybe Chime does go low. Has to. Actually, Stinkers rather goes low. Pops the ultimate. And oh my goodness, Window with the
30.
damage boost. Shuts down Flamey again, but it's traded. Chime at least falls, who had the Mantis ultimate. The copy still available. They can hold on to point a little bit longer if they want. However, he has to copy maybe somebody on the side of Sentinels, and it looks like it's the white box. Window again? Are you kidding me? Then the Groot comes down with the slam dunk NRG. Hold on.
Yeah, that was clean. I mean, that was just textbook play right there from Window. Just everywhere with that Venom. And that's what Venom can do. You just apply pressure to every single zone. Using that natural cover to your advantage to take the height onto an Ultron was big brain. I'm not going to lie. And that worked out very well. It's already at 80% now against Sentinels. And even in alt charge, that is exactly what they were looking for. And I just think Sentinels, they really like this triple comp. And they're finally switching off it as Rymazing is going over to that Phoenix.
Set up that dive. I mean, they need to get at least like one fight win here at the current moment. But again, velocity so far back. There's the Feast of the Abyss, the Mantis ultimate to give them the overhealth. Doesn't matter that they're anti if they get a little bit of health above that. Also the fact that they don't have that Phoenix ult. And it's, oh no, Flamey gone again. That's 3 fights in a row. He's been the focus. It's very hard to play Strat, I guess, on this map, considering we saw the Silent Blaze earlier. And Renko gets 3 in the mouth. NRG. I mean, what a sweep if they take him off the map. Goodbye. Chances of winning this round. We're going next. 100-0 for NRG.
Yeah, that is, there's really not much to say there, right? Like, NRG, it's like they knew exactly what Sentinels was going to roll out on, and they did just that. They built a composition that was going to play totally fine into it, and it was the expected outcome. There's really not much else to address. Sentinels made the change, but it was just a little bit too late.
Yeah, I mean, like we saw the triple comp not really working on the map against 2-2-2, but also maybe it was the team as well. I think the Loki was banned last time in that series. That definitely mattered because, I mean, Renko and Velocities, they just you saw them, dude. They were like a sentry turret back of the map, and they couldn't dislodge them, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. They just couldn't do anything. I mean, it's and the pressure. I want to shout out the entirety of Stinkers and Chime, who with that damage boost, Stinkers just making sure that backline couldn't peek really. Look at the front line, and then when you can't peek at your front line, and then they have a giant wall behind them, you just lose, and that is the advantage of the side of NRG Shock. And I'm loving what I'm seeing from Sentinels here. Do you see the change as Crimzo is going over to that Groot, trying to find a different solution? Dongman now on the Vanpool, but the downside is I'm not sure that Vanpool has any levels right now.
The do it matter is, classic TP plays, but now they have the Penny Parker port. Dongman, is he aware? Is the rest of the... Okay, goodbye! See ya. That's the rest of your back line gone. What a play.
Come on, man. Moderate just does not miss those.
I mean, it's just the setups as well by Madara. He's done this every single map so far, and you would think Sentinels would read that ship, considering, former teammates on Team Sentinels, not aware of the cheese, immediately point already going NRG's favor.
Yeah, once again, right off the rip here on 0.3% and climbing. Holding the space now. Alt still, and they have Stinkers, but 2 answers here for Sentinels. They need to change the tone here. I want to see a close matchup, so this team needs to step up. I'm sure the audience does as well. Sentinels fans want to see something. Not a lot from the end song. Glartrox goes out. Does that find value? Not quite yet, as I do believe they land in the crystals. Traded once more.
A nice trade from Ryan on the opposite side. Dongman able to get as much value on the tank pool that you've seen before, and how good tank pool can be with the anti on the front line. Actually doesn't get the KO, even with the vulnerability, rather. Stinkers every shot into his face from Ryan. Nice aim onto him in the back angle. Also, Groot comes out. He's able to follow up, so nice work by the Groot player alongside Ryan. Eventually, Yusha comes back, able to take down Madara too. So one after another, Sentinels finally work themselves back in, and that solution you talked about before, Shib, seems to be working, even though right now they're kind of still stuck on this point in terms of NRG.
See, I love this. They're going back to their tried and true, more traditional to what they've run in the past. We've seen some success with that as of late. With some of these teams, especially the teams that are on the lower side of the bracket, this is working for them. They have more poke. They have more line of sight cutoff. They are ensuring that when Window dives, they try to separate them from the team, focus them down, and use things like Rymazing Stun to help pressure that Venom and keep them off the backline, allowing them to stay healthy. Dongman, also on that Vanpool, I think is just a must pick when available right now.
And I wonder what's going to happen with the other characters as they go in with the Cloak and Dagger. First, mirrors it on the opposite side. Funnily enough, Stinkers try to push actually Flamey out of the ult, and they do so, but it's straight on the opposite angle. So, unfortunately for Flamey to go down doesn't end up mattering because Dongman's there with the follow-up too. And Rymazing on the Phoenix has just been unstoppable with Dongman on these dives. Excellent last shot onto Renko.
Yeah, we wanted to see a closer matchup, and this is starting to look like Old Sen. They just got to get their confidence back here. Rye with some really good shots. Usher on an off-angle. Notice just totally different position as Rye Mazing, forcing everyone to look in two different spots. Glartrox available here too, off-map potential, but also huge team potential as they run in with Chime, but Stinkers able to find Rye Mazing. Glartrox goes out with one in. Well, that net value, it does. Crimzo able to clean up Chime in the chaos now, but the team almost loses points, still able to hold on for now. And they do retake. Well done by Sentinels here. But now more commitment comes out. Flamay with a copy up. Ooh, eats the meteor right to the mouth. Goodbye. What an answer there from Madara.
Yeah, sadly no bubble because they don't have that Magneto to bubble it off. And Window follows up on Namir. So one after another. Eventually NRG walk it back in. It's like you said, Madara with a nice shot cross into that cloak and dagger. Found the timing very smoothly. Now, in this upcoming fight, though, Shiv, they do have the Feast of the Abyss ready to go for Sentinels engage. It's close fight regardless, as well as having to deal with the damage boost out of NRG Shock. They've ran the Mantis comp, I think the best we've seen today in North America. We'll see if they can do it again, although Stinkers takes a little bit of early shots downrange.
Yeah, ult advantage here for Shock. Holding them in this tight corridor with Feast is a big problem, especially if they hit the low side here. You won't be able to escape as much with Venom. Likely using Easy Swing. I would highly suggest binding Easy Swing as well as the regular swing, folks. If you're playing Venom, gives you some accessibility. Okay, this could be... Oh, what a wall. That is disgusting. What a wall. Stopping it in its track right there to ensure it can't land on for the extra damage. Driving backwards now is the entirety of Sentinels who hold on through the chaos. Mirror answers back now with the bond, driving them into point. Dogman able to find one. Can they retake point? 90% here for Shock as 3 go down with Rye Mazing and Usher walking them back to the spawn door and trying to even this percentage.
Oh my god, that was so much peel, and that was also kind of odd. Like, this is maybe why we would see teams maybe so, okay, Rye goes down early. Dude. That's a huge pick, okay. Does that change things up? Because they're going for the portal here, Shiv. This is going to be a quick fight to point, and they don't have portal either because Rye Mazing used it earlier.
Yeah, those are really good shots there, even on the clone, and just reacted right there as we see immediately. Eternal Bond goes out, going to keep them on point. They're okay with giving them a few minutes on until they answer it right back with Flame A, who is going to drive them onto the point once more. Huge Glartrox off map. Madara able to get back. Renko as well, only able to find one, but it doesn't matter. Sentinels with a huge sweep here. Looks like they will push this to map 3. Incredible retake here by the Sentinels.
Wow. Usher Glartrox of the Sentinels a lifetime. We're going to Warrior Falls now. Next map, I wonder if NRG want to switch off of the Mantis stuff, potentially, just because their dives were not as, potentially rewarding as they wanted, right? That they would go for aggressive. They would try to, like you said, those Groot walls messed up a lot of the dives earlier. But then also, they still had the Feast of the Abyss there. They should have maybe gotten a KO or two, but it was disengaged well by Sentinels. For NRG Shock, I'm sure they have some decisions to make, but it looks like they're not going to change it, and they're going to stick with the Mantis stuff that they did well with on the first map, even though I would say, Shib, the first round, like, the reason why they won was because they had so much distance between themselves and the Sentinels, right? Now they don't.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, like I said, I think Sentinels needed to just go back to tried and true, especially against the comp that was essentially running the comp they'd want to run, right? It was stuff that would make triple struggle, and the Sentinels just haven't, although they love running the triple, and I'm sure they've had a lot of success maybe in scrims, because it's clearly something they like to keep pulling out, here during this tournament. It seems like it just doesn't work for them in the moment. So going back to tried and true like this looks like old Sentinels again, and they're finding a ton of value. What a retake. Well done. Ult advantage in their favor here. Grimzo could find something huge. We'll find out in a moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a tough fight for NRG if they swap Chime to maybe like Wolverine or something like that, considering it's still available. But for Sentinels, they're on the height, waiting for point to open up, maybe going for a 3-2-1 engage with this Groot ultimate, like you said. Velocity's there with the copy, obviously, but you can still get KOs through it if your target focus is good on Sentinel's side.
Yeah, I think this switch here for Dongmin was incredibly impactful as well, providing a bunch of damage, a huge strangling prison, but it won't matter. Answered right back with crystals there, and that's why Loki is so incredibly strong. Stinker's Velocity able to find 2 now, putting them up in numbers, and they will have ult advantage on the rest of this. This should give them point here. It will, as Stinkers finds Usher and NRG Shock with ult advantage and point advantage early on map 3.
Slow play, NRG seems to be, that's like their forte, just constantly play it slow, having the strat ult advantage. A bit of a difference from the last map, I think, when Window was trying to go aggressive with the Venom, so the switch up to Groot working out well for them. Usher now switches over to the Wolverine, and Rye Mazing's going to Elsa. This is what we're talking about. This sort of interesting kind of changes they do is they don't put Rye Mazing on Wolverine, they put Usher, so it forces them to swap 2 completely different roles. And still having no ultimates. We'll see how they play it as Renko trying to build up towards that Cloak and Dagger ult. They still have that own Cloak and Dagger on Mir's side. But last time Madara's read it. We'll see if Mir can disengage it because there's nothing to save him.
Yeah, I don't love the double swap. Immediately, alt charge is going to be a problem. Oh, the hold there from that's going to be big bang. Yep, I knew that. I saw that coming from a mile away. No way to stop that right now is Window with a huge strangling prison chime. Going to clean that up as Right Amazing finds one, but that will not be enough. NRG Shock in their bag right now, looking clean. Sentinels will have alt advantage in the next fight, though they need to win this next fight.
I think they try to green it or something from Flame, but regardless, it's tough. I mean, they don't have the Magneto to counter it. Mir obviously is not playing for that. He's trying to go to the point. Just a tough look for Sentinels, and now they're 60% across the board. NRG Shock, at least they used a lot of ults, but last time they actually fought with this Cloak and Dagger ult, it was huge. Yusher obviously got a big off map. They can pull people out of the ults with Yusher or Right Amazing. We'll see if they do.
Yeah, and gonna set up nice and slow here. Sentinels do have ults available, like we're discussing. Sleep onto Yusher there on point, and that is gonna be a tough look. His Stinker's able to find that pick onto Crimzo right now, who made that switch over to Thing. It's very difficult to run Thing into a comp like this, especially when Groot is on the table. Just making sure you cannot escape. There's going to be Crystal's burn. Window finds one, though, to trade again once more for NRG. Ults are still up here for Sentinels. The commitment comes through with the Fate. Window once more onto Dongmin. And everybody is falling one by one, but Sentinels will have pressure on point, answered right back by Rainco. And there will just be a lot of purple on the floor as Right Amazing finds one on a Window. Stinkers trades that back on a Right Amazing now. And NRG Shock might take another map, 100-0. It looks like they will. Portal play needs to be committed. Can they get here in time, and can they find some value? The Stinkers is looking for this cloak, and that might be the swan song here for C&D. It is. Stinkers, nice shots. Gonna find one through the portal. Does have N-Song Inferno available, too. And it is a tough look here for Sentinels at this moment. Clobbering time comes out. Is that valuable? Not sure it was. We see another fall. And that's going to be another as we see Flame go down. Bang, here comes the bird. And the bird is not the word as no one falls from that as well. But Velocity with one more pick, slowly but surely here, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one after another. Rye at least gets another, but, I mean, you have just two duelists on the point. They fall one after another, and it's done. NRG Shock, win the first map. Burn to T'Challa going to go their way. And, man, Sentinels, just tough look, I think, to switch off all those, just everything. Like, it was such a really good round two. But then once we head to Warrior Falls, they just lost tempo. You said they went to the Thing. That makes sense why it didn't work. You want to go for the fastball special and stuff, but I just don't think Sentinels have a very good Wolverine player compared to other squads, and I think that's kind of holding them back. MVP going to go for Velocity, but a huge map win for NRG Shock considering how the second round looked.
Yeah, I mean, we saw there on X2 Velocity said has, one of the worst flus he's had. So speaking of a flu game here, coming out with the MVP, looking strong across the board, 29K healing up there as well as for finals. But you got to really look over at the 12 finals from Stinkers, 12 on Window. Amazing with 13 looked really good once the swap to Duelist came in. I think that's got to be a sign as a team that you need to try to play into that. Rye on a Duelist has been playing lights out, and I think you need to try to enable it.
I don't know. I'm just surprised why Rye doesn't pick up the Wolverine. Like, it's always been in his hero pool potential. Like, he could play the Daredevil too. That made it through, but we'll talk about that stuff later, obviously. NRG Shock now up a map. We'll see what Sentinels want to do. It looks like you're right, Shib. They look really good on domination, and we'll try to continue that on moving forward after this break.
Three looked a little rough for the Sentinels camp. They did the same thing. I mean, we know that both of these teams actually do kind of gravitate towards that triple strat line. Like, they do like playing that, but I feel like for Sentinels, it's not worked quite as much as it has for NRG Shock.
Yeah, I think that for the side of Sentinels, it's tough because I think they did well on domination before. Like we said, NRG, they came back, new and improved. We thought the same thing out of Sentinels, right? Like, you'd assume after the Liquid Citadel match that you brought up earlier, Zoe, like that, okay, maybe you could brush that off, but I don't know, man. Sentinels at the current moment, you have to, yeah. But it looks like they haven't. That's the thing. Like, maybe upcoming map, it'll change, but NRG Shock look like a better team right now.
Yeah, Yeah, they really do. But like, what should Sentinels do? I mean, clearly, like in round 2, it looked better for them. Like they got to play something more to their comfort. Is that just the key here, Shib? Like, do they just have to go back to like what feels right for them rather than playing the perceived meta?
Yeah, I think they looked a lot better when they went back to just like a 2-2-2 comp and something more traditional. They did get strat banned heavy there. I think that kind of threw them for a loop, and that's definitely a huge shout out to NRG being smart. I think that's a cerebral play, forcing them onto Cloak, going that Magneto, and honestly, Madara landed like multiple Magneto ults onto Cloak, and that is so much value. So big brain idea there, but you got to take that into account in your next ban phase. You got to be aware that that's what they're looking for. How do you shut that down?
Friends, I'm seeing something when I'm staring at the other screen. Do you see it too?
I have not yet.
Okay, no.
I do see it.
Well, okay. Should we spoil it for the fine people out there? Should we do it? Well, we talked about it actually setting up this match, right? We talked about Mirror being in the mix and Karova kind of riding the bench right now due to the meta.
Oh.
Well, we do now get to see Karova in action. So what do we expect to see, as it surely won't be an Adam Warlock?
Probably the traditional stuff. I mean, this they always do this, dude. Like, this is like Kurova's probably like, put me in, coach, or something. Like, I feel like that's actually what's happening.
Is he the kitchen sink? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, yes. He's the entire kitchen sink, washing machine. He's everything. All water tools involved. He's just gonna have to.
A utility piece is what I'm hearing. That should bode well for them.
Yes, I think so. But also, like, this team has always been so, I don't know, stereotypical. It's kind of weird. Like, it's kind of an odd way to describe them. But like, throughout the history of Sentinels specifically, they've always been like the team that watches Marvel movies together as a cohesive unit in previous lineups. And then now, even with Kurova with the put me in, coach mentality, it's just hilarious. It's just such a obvious move out of Sentinels.
Hilarious.
Hey, if they want the ball, give them the ball. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, they feel ready. They feel up for the challenge. It's an elimination match, so why not? You got to try something. Let's see if this is going to work for them in our map number 2.
All right, we go into Symbiotic Surface here for Convergence. It's been a while since we've seen this map, honestly, in the playoffs. So this is going to be the selection from Sentinels. And again, they did make that switch. They do have Kurova in. I wouldn't be surprised if Adam was on the table, but I do think Adam has definitely taken a heavy seat back in the meta. But if they want to run a triple comp, that is still viable for sure. And you can do some great alt trades with that Born Again.
Well, both teams as well kind of go for that Elsa Protect off the rip this time. Sentinels, went for it last time. NRG didn't and still won the last map. Kind of makes sense, I think, once we go to these longer range maps like we saw on Midtown. But for the Mantis bans afterwards also kind of makes sense. I mean, the teams earlier, we kind of seen avoid the Gambit ban sometimes, which can work out. But, obviously both teams don't want to deal with that at the current moment. We'll see what happens in the other bans. Sentinels again going for that Vanguard Deadpool, which you said, Shib, like it does bring a lot of value, but the one-sided Invis ban and Protect comes out now.
Yeah, it's another kind of strat line attack here. Obviously, locking in a very strong Elsa lock that is no doubt to be matched on both sides. You can see the Loki ban coming from this side. That's going to be, they're going to try to, send them a little piece of what they've been receiving with all these strat lines with the Mantis, Gambit, and Loki being removed. And I think that's not a bad idea. Try to even the playing field a little bit. Give yourself a similar solution if they're forced onto the Cloak, which is a little more readable. But again, it is an ultimate that is tough to go against because you farm it so quick, and you can definitely initiate forcing teams to respond with other strat alts that ultimately end at the same time.
And Cloak Protect coming out, it looks like, for the second one, but that Loki ban as well, I think is something Zoe pointed out in the green room, actually, funnily enough, said, I wouldn't give Velocities the Loki, and kind of agree with her in this point. Velocity's been nasty with it, and they go for the counter Loki ban on their side. So it's going to be fun. I mean, this is the first time in, a couple of weeks we've seen Kurova play the game, right? It's been like nonstop Mir, so finally get to see the OG back on it.
Yeah, and we talk about how team synergy over time is huge. These guys have played together forever. Kurova obviously making a little switch there to DZ over the last end of Ignite Stage 1, but now going to be back with the team. And that, if once you play together for a super long time, you kind of get this confidence, this understanding of what the team's going to do, and you don't necessarily need to calm everything because you just instinctually know what the plan is, and that can help you in a pinch. But we'll see if it converts right now. NRG Shock on the defense first. Sentinels running something more traditional, and that is what we needed to see out of them. Shock just needed, honestly, rinse and repeat.
I think from the Sentinels lineup, and I think from a lot of these squads in the last week, I mean, we're hearing like rumbles of triple Vanguard being very good. You know, obviously with the Gambit stuff and the Rogue, but, you know, what if Sentinels also were in that boat? You know, maybe they really love to play the Gambit alongside Rogue, and now that they can't, a lot of the times these matches are in a bit of a pickle. For NRG Shock, though, on their side, already up the first map ship. And I mean, honestly, house money at that point, considering how it went last time, and also on the Convoy Convergence maps afterwards. So we'll see how NRG Shock play. Can they close out on the second map to put themselves on map point in our second best of 5 of the day?
Portal off the rip, and NRG's reading it. They could see it coming. You can see them heading backwards, but a good idea. Change things up here and try to retake their height. It's going to be essentially a spawn switch. You're going to see both teams playing like they're on the inverse of roles, right? So now they will have the guaranteed access to height should they elect to choose to use it behind them, but they're just going to walk them right down here, try to get as much percentage on point as they can. And that's a huge tackle, though. This time out of the back line. Crimzo in a dangerous spot, able to escape for the moment. Stinkers finds one, loses the passive instantly. And Dogman finding Madara off rip is huge for the side of Sentinels, who are halfway to point and climbing window falls too. Sentinels are showing up in this moment, looking like their old selves.
Yeah, walked at them. They played the, by the way, yeah, capping point first, looking like themselves. But they played the strat pool style, right? They obviously have Vanguard pool available, but you build up ult so fast, jumping on your teammates' heads to just go in with the cheese ult fast on the TP play. It worked out phenomenally after Flame hit a frontline player of NRG. Now, we go to second phase. Kind of, you're done with that play now. We're going Flame back over to the Jeff, and you have Dongmin back over to Vanguard tank pool. So we'll see if this sort of changes their playstyle a little bit. Flame obviously sitting on the flank, plays it slow, but NRG Shock doesn't have ults yet, but we've seen window pop up before with Brutal.
Folks, that's incredibly smart, just piggybacking on what you're saying, to use the strat Deadpool off rip to get that percentage. So when you do switch, oh, the walls there just stuffed the Glartrox, and that was counterintuitive. Unlucky communication there from the side of Yusher and Crimzo, I believe. But it doesn't matter, because Flame, on the Stinkers finds one, another pick comes through, and Sentinel's momentum is looking lights out right now as Yusher is showing up here on this Elsa.
Yeah, unfortunately, like you said, hit the wall, but at least they got the KO. Then another one from Kurova, who came in and just fragged out, got Chime cross map on the Luna Snow, and then we saw the Jeff POVC, his teammates ragdoll fly through his face, so that was a little goofy. But now, for Sentinel side, they have, like you said, Chip, so much time at the bank, and Kurova, again, has ultimate available. NRG Shock are having to react to a very difficult situation.
And Dongmin now, huge strangling prison, answered immediately by the Bond. Eternal Bond walking them forward, but a great idea forcing out that cooldown. Velocity does have to force that out. Glartrox goes out, Kurova and Rymazing combo up now. On that triple line, they love to run so much. It seems to be working for them now. Damage boost out for Kurova, now trying to find window with a huge freeze. Out goes that E, though, forcing that cooldown. That comm will be known across the team. Great walls there by Crimzo. As they back up, they're forced to just constantly take damage and farm that ultimate. Crimzo back at 42%. Moderate in the sky. Combination. Oh, it hits the shield. And the eat comes through here from Flame, I believe, who's trying to find some. Walking backwards now. Is going to just target whoever was eaten, and it's a 3-piece, I believe, maybe 2. We'll see in a moment as Yusher cleans up Madara. Is there more follow-up? Out again. Wow, good escape there from Window.
Yeah, absolutely, and let's see if they can keep it up, though. They have Invisible Boundary, but again, the Glartrox, you've seen counter this many times. He throws it out, does Window, or rather, does his group block it? This time, no, removes them out of the Invisible. It's, in fact, Renko who got caught in it, and we're getting this map pushed through. Madara's going to switch over to the Doctor Strange to help portal through. Maybe they come back in fast, but it's going to be body blocked on both sides from the teams. We'll see how much damage can come through on Madara, though. He just kind of plays his shields perfectly. 0.81 meters. They're going to have everybody here at the very least. Glartrox coming up, too, but they lose velocity in the middle of the fight.
Oh, that is huge once more by Crimzo. Can they clean it up? They can. That's going to be a 3-piece here, as it should be this point, and it is. Wow, Sentinels are looking refreshed now. 4 minutes and 15 seconds on point 3 is absurd.
You know, last time, I think NRG Shock, they banned out the Jeff. This time, it was the Loki at the very end, and you can see that's not panning out. Flame's looked so much better, I think, as well, playing these off healers instead of the Loki, in fact. Like, I feel like the Loki was solid before, but his Jeff definitely feels like a comfort pick for him. Now we move to the third phase of the map. Rymazing has the Ultron ready to go, at least Chime. Maybe he can connect with another Glartrox, but the pressure has been brutal from Dongmin and crew.
You know what? I hope the communication was, Coach, I want the ball, put me in, because if so, Korova is really showcasing now why it's working out. Rye Amazing diving in with the Rage of Ultron, making it a two-piece now as Rye Amazing's walking the back line. Stinkers should pay for it here. Yes, he does. Good shots by Rye, and Sentinels are not letting off the gas. Velocity has the invisible boundary available. Stinkers and Windows soon to have ultimate as well for Shock, but there's 3 to match from Korova, Flame A, and Yusher here, and we will see which one's more valuable in just a moment. This is down to the wire with 3 minutes on right here at the end. Sentinels.
Look at Korova, he's just chilling. Like, he just gets to relax in the back of the map. Nothing wrong. Just totally fine in the lane that they're currently in. You pop the ultimate against it. Here comes Windows ultimate, but again, negated by that bubble, that Dongman. You called it out earlier. I mean, both the Vanguards and Korova get hit, but it's 2 strat ult, or 2 ults for only, well, 2 on Sentinel's side as well, but still nobody going down on Sentinel's side, and Yusher has, again, Glartrox. He was big with it last time.
We're going to look now again. It's all about who presses Q just a little bit better. There is going to be the combo with Flame and Crimzo. We'll see if that elects to be run. A lot of times you don't even need to wall up there in those situations, but there is going to be an answer from Madara. If they do go down with It's Jeff, it's going to be, in vain. There could be some struggle there, at least, is what the intended language is as they're walking in now. Madara holding on, and we might see it. And likely not yet. There it is. And just pulling out that cooldown. Good idea there, dropping back as a team. No one's gone down just yet. And I do think that's a decent trade, as there's a lot more answers there with the Meteor M than there is with the It's Jeff in this current meta. Huge Strangling Prison finds one with Yusher with some insane aim, trying to find a second. And I don't even know how, but is able to find Velocity there, or isn't able to find Velocity, who makes that escape happen with a great jump there. I don't know how that reaction time came through, but shout out Velocity dodging that ultimate. I think even honestly, Yusher thought he'd landed that there as Crimzo Dongman clean up, and I think this could do it here as Sentinels are trying to push this all the way with almost 2 minutes on still. But we'll see in a moment as another answer comes through. It's Jeff lands. Wow, Yusher with some clean movement. Does not get that. Oh, Psych Eye Light does get that KO onto Renko. It's just a matter of time now if they can keep this composure. A huge feast once more, but can they clean up anything? No, they cannot. How are they still holding on? Incredible communication by NRG Shock.
Yeah, they're just funneling HP back and forth. Window does go low, but the healing is there. And again, just stalling out the point. This team is always very good at that specifically. And Chime goes down again. I mean, this has been a really rough map, I think, from Chime as well. Not able to get a single Glartrox due to the fact that Ultron's Rage has been baiting it out every time. And now Flame A gets another one on the window, and they don't even touch. Sentinels fully cap out with 1:08.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to see something more traditional. Sentinels came out the door traditionally. It worked great on point 1. Switched to their comp that they were tried and true on when it comes to that triple backline, and it looked a lot better there. I'm not going to lie. Looked like a refreshed team. I just think they needed the mental. You know what? Do I got to say, is Korova the answer here? Because they played a lot better as a unit right there than we have seen yet today.
Yeah, maybe a little bit morale boost for sure. Korova, that guy. I think the squad, I mean, the tough part is NRG now have kind of just been trying to mirror, but just can't really do it. Like, every time Chime has thrown out a Glartrox, it's been destroyed. Like, I don't think he had a single good Glartrox the entire time. And he's just really unfortunate timing. It's read by Rye Amazing. Every single ultimate just gets countered by Ultron's Rage. Also, they don't have Madara's Meteor M, for example, for it sometimes. So, it's tough. Like, he hasn't had a single ult, and it's been impossible to get it off. And NRG, I think this is a good mix-up for them. They're going to put the Wolverine maybe out here, and this is kind of what they should have been doing earlier. I think they were thinking too much about trying to go for the mirror, but just don't have those, like, individual matchups or either practice that enables them. And now, again, we talked about Wolverine players being a focal point. Maybe they're just doing it one fight for the TP play, but Dongman's ready to go with a counter TP off map.
Yeah, thinking about it right now, setting it up and just kind of using it as vision, which isn't a bad idea. Think of it like an eagle, right? Set it up, just trying to relay to the team what they're thinking, what they're running. And there is going to be Madara trying to make something happen. Oh, didn't get that to select. It might be a little too late. Waiting now for the portal and to throw it right in front. Bang, trying to get a few of them through, but it's just not going to work. He's able to find one.
But Dongman still went through, even though he had his shift up, right? Or, yeah, what the hell is that? Regardless. Oh, my God. NRG flip map. Now we have a 3 on point right now. They're trying to pressure out Sentinel's side. The close response for the offense, obviously. So NRG Shock, she'll have Madara back a little faster.
Yeah, I mean, Madara, it was funny because I actually jumped through that thinking it was his own after the fact because the rest of the team went through it. Korova, it goes down as Chime gets 2. Dongman finds Renko, but Madara on the return able to find one more. And now immediately NRG Shock are looking good, and they take this thing instantaneously, just like Sentinels do. Again, we talk about Midtown. Sometimes you push it the whole way, and then you kind of get on your heels. You're like, all right, now we just got to stop them before point 3. You can't think like that. It's got to be a point 1 hold mentality, but they can't make it happen.
We'll see what happens with Crimzo going over to the thing. I mean, they're going to still play that triple comp, and Flame just, by the way, didn't go down after first fight, has been living into their back line, kind of a thorn at the moment. But still, NRG Shock's offense looking just about as good as Sentinels right now. Hitting a big blind on that front line maybe allows them to find Crimzo. Does Crimzo escape? Does he evade all that damage? The answer is no. Kurova actually goes down to the middle of the fight, unfortunately for him. And now you're down 1 member of your team. You have to try to clutch up. Ultron's Rage a little bit too late, sadly, for the side of Rymazing. Can't save anybody. And at this rate, Sentinels slowly trying to funnel towards this cart without 2 members of their team. Able to find Martyr at least, but the Glortrox comes out. Maybe any KO's found. It's back and forth. It's like a train just flying back and forth across the map. As eventually Flame comes through with a big eat, and Sentinels somehow were still in that fight and end up winning.
Yeah, I mean, that was back and forth. Huge Glortrox after huge Glortrox. I like the idea there with that strangling prison to make sure Glortrox couldn't get so much value, but somehow able to escape it in that moment. Rymazing with a nice shot there on window. That is a massive stagger, and that'll force NRG to play a little bit slower here, and now Sentinels retake this space, and that's why neutral is so valuable right now. Ult advantage on the side of Shock. Can they use it to their advantage? Crimzo back on that thing here now, though.
And I'm liking these like hard off angles. It's a shame the Sentinels don't have another one in this upcoming fight, because we saw like in that last fight, by the way, Dogman pops ult off, but they're just like a thorn in the side of NRG Shock as they move on and attack. Cloak Dagger ult out first. Here's the he gets shut down by Kurova!
Yeah, that is a huge freeze right there. Window finding Crimzo, and that's just, it's tough to play thing into a group like this. Velocity onto Kurova, another pick here from Window onto Dongmin, and NRG Shock are walking. Almost 4 minutes on the clock here for Sentinels. The portal play coming out for Crimzo, who's immediately off that thing. Again, it's so difficult to run thing into a comp like this. I would expect maybe the cap coming in to apply some pressure if you think your front line can hold, but it's all about, what they're comfortable on and what they think is the right solution. Madara finds one off rip.
That was pretty sad. Open up portal to see your Deadpool get kidnapped and murdered. Feels bad. But at the very end of the point, still having 6 people here, Shib. Advantage for the side of NRG Shock based on the previous fights.
Stinkers with ultimate is a huge problem too, and it's just very advantageous to have portal up like that. You know where they're coming from. I think they might just get point 90. Okay, 0.95. The retake comes through. Sentinels with some good timing. Heavy engage. Good shield there, by the way, to keep the team healthy in the moment. Glortrox goes out. It's a get value. It does. It's answered right back. Which one eats more? Looks like neither of them are feasting right now. Both going hungry as window goes down to Rymazing. Flame able to find Madara, and the retake is clean here from Sentinels, even being down early on. Well played once more from Sentinels.
It seems like the fundamentals almost get better the more they're down in that fight, right? Just secured around the objective, played well around Yusher again, and then Dongman just on the Vanpool has been beautiful. So with that one-sided matchup, it's been pretty strong in Sentinel's favor. Upcoming fight, though, Crimzo does have that Avagamota Flaming with an ult. They go for a TP fast play onto the height, but Yusher's here to build up some ult charge at the very least. NRG Shock need to set up Stinkers with an ult, but Avagamota early gets 3.
It's huge. Oh, the shield might have just saved
again.
Velocity there as Crimzo goes down off the back of a big last stand there. And the Wolverine is Chef under. Everyone going to be panicking a little bit, waiting for it. And you can notice just ready to use that Terror Cape to hold the team. Going to use it there, and it's not going to like to hit anything. Window onto Yusher now. Out goes the Banhammer. Matched right back this time by Shock and Velocity. And that could be this point once more. Advantage in their favor. A meter left on point. Numbers heavily up. Sentinels dwindling. They did buy a lot of time. Can they keep this going for now?
I mean, he's still alive in the height, too, in terms of the side of Flame. But no, we're going to third point. I almost wonder if Flame could have hit like a big It's Jeff in the middle of the fight there. He opted for going away from it. Obviously, in previous fights.
The cloak was ready with the Terror Cape. Yeah, Terror Cape was held right there in cloak form. Just waiting was Velocity.
Makes sense then. So, for Sentinel's side, on defense, tough fight now for third point. But for NRG Shock, excellent decision-making, like you said, to avoid that ultimate. Ultron's Rage now available to maybe delete Chime in his ultimate, but Benar is the one that sets up his ult first, maybe buy some space for Chime.
Here we go again. Ottawa dropping backwards. And that is not going to be a trade yet. Glortrox goes out as Dongman finds window. Match there by Chime, and it is big. 2-piece. Make it a 3-piece. Chime going to clean everything up, and now want to find more. Will that happen? Yes, it does. And Sentinels are going to be down numbers heavy. And there's Crimzo on that cap, like he's reading my mind, trying to apply more pressure, install the point.
Oh my God, and he gets traded out. But I like what you're saying. Like, Crimzo so far on Captain America has been incredibly good. Regardless, for the side of NRG Shock, huge Glartrox by Chime, not forcing it a little bit easier on defense. Of course, a pause happens as soon as NRG Shock is getting a little bit of momentum. And in a moment, we'll probably come back, but I imagine there's more technical difficulties. You know what? This game could go 3-3, Shib. We could potentially see us all the way back at the beginning after a reset if NRG Shock can string together good fights.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those, I don't know. It's any given situation right now, buddy. I'm not sure what you're thinking the solution is, but I don't know. Sentinels are starting to get walked back. I like the changes that they're making, but when you change 0.3, it starts getting dicey. It's a question of, is it for the right reasons, or are you doing it because you're panicking? I do think the idea of cap, which reason I wanted to see maybe a little bit earlier, is because they're playing very hyper aggro. They're pushing you in. You go cap and you just stall point. You play point 24/7. Draw eyes away. You don't have as much KO potential on their team when they are running those cloaks, and it forces people away from your team. But again, if you're running the triple comp, it's dicey with cap. But I do think he plays well with Ultron drone, so it's up in the air. It's whatever they're comfortable with, and they weren't comfortable with it until 0.3, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, Sentinels just seem to love the triple composition, and that's kind of their vibe. And this is what I was kind of talking about. Like, if Sentinels can't, especially on defense and with these maps where I think Wolverine can be strong, I just wish they would play more Wolverine. That's all it is, man. Like, there's a Groot on the enemy team. I know we want to, like, maybe go for the counters to Wolverine, and that's kind of the play in general for most of these squads. But that character's just so strong right now, man. Like, even if you do resist the CC immunity, or if you do have the CC immunity for the Wolverine, he still shreds you, dude. Like, he still does percent damage. Yeah. It's absurd how much damage that character could do. I just wish Sentinels would play that more. I could be wrong about that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? I mean, they don't have the invis locked right now, and to be able to keep the Wolverine away, which I think is at least on the field right now. So I think that's, again, another reason to maybe want to run it. I do think, like you're saying, it does make Groot kind of a scratching post. He's sharpen the claws a little bit on top of Groot and just charge up fast. You can even charge up on walls before your initiation, which is a big strength for enabling Wolverine. But yeah, I'm with you. I think there's one or two ways you can play this. You kind of play to break walls and burn the Groot, or you play like Groot's not even there and you rush their backline and try to trade, or you play on point consistently with a ton of movement and play your life comp. And triple strat lines can enable that, but I'm not sure what the right solution is. I'll tell you what, I didn't love the Thing play. I'm happy that switch came in quickly. It looked better on the Strange, but it looks like we're heading back into the game here in a moment.
All right, let's get back into it, Chib, and off the rip, Madara does have the ult. They'll go for a Groot ult after the unpause immediately, but it doesn't work on their favor. Window goes down. Yeeted that out, was focused. The Luna Snow Dance Floor came out and they countered it off the rip. Huge plays out of the pause from Team Sentinels to send NRG Shock back to spawn. And momentum shifting, maybe. Window's now going over to the Magneto, and then Snickers off onto the Phoenix to maybe go for these more longer range engages, as maybe the Ultron has less cover in third phase.
Yeah, the point pushed pretty far, but there is only 1:27, and this is where the time they bought there on point 2 on that retake with the portal is huge, because Sentinels pushed through with 1:08 still remaining, and we're about to be there before they even end this point 3 if they can get there. Sentinels committing heavy now as we see Crimzo with the Freedom Charge walking that back line in. That could be a big Eye of Agamotto from Madara. Does it land? We don't have eyes on just yet. Doesn't look like it converted. Yusher putting a ton of damage out. Crimzo finds one onto Renko, and that's going to keep the pressure up. Crimzo does fall there with a nice trade as Dongmin also finds velocity. Dongmin again and Yusher, and now Sentinels are in control 1 minute on. And it is going to be an absolute battle here. Invisible Boundary from Renko. Triple ults available here from Sentinels. We will see which converts. Sentinels definitely have the advantage right now.
Ooh. Fleming gets staggered to the right side, but yeah, it's as you said, Crimzo popped off on that flank. Also, Madara went a little bit too deep and too far. It's tough with the Mantis damage boost to really get maximum value out of that Visible Woman Doctor Strange team up with the pull-in. Caught out of position in that fight. Now, upcoming fight, Ultron's Rage. Disengaged again, slow play by NRG Shock, but they do pop out with the Invisible Boundary. Can they get a trade at the very least? That's fine if you're Sentinels to get that 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, and here it is. Oh, that's a huge Clark. Oh, but it hits the wall. Likely a CC to stop the pullback there, which makes it so you honestly kind of just lose value out of the ult. So great focus in that moment. NRG Shock looking clean as Window goes down. Korova finds the first pick in the chaos from downtown. Yusher onto Stinkers. Can Sentinels do this off the change? That's another 3-piece sweep as the It's Jeff lands. Can they keep this momentum now? Crimzo onto Renko. The numbers are dwindling and Sentinels will tie this up 1-1.
Oh my God, we might have ourselves another close series on our hands on the day. Maybe you guys didn't curse us. In fact, it's been blessed. We've been blessed by the games today so far and in the North American region as a phenomenal ending by Team Sentinels. Towards that third point, obviously, even, I guess, the Wolverine player just not feeling too confident playing it on an open sort of map. And like Usher just hitting Glartrox after Glartrox in comparison. I mean, just look at the stats, Shib. What stands out to you right away?
A lot stands out. I mean, obviously the 22 finals from Usher, 46-5. Usher has been definitely making a name for himself since joining this roster. I think it's funny because we mentioned that they don't really like the Wolf much, but I think it's because Usher's just so good on this hero. They'd rather allow him to run this hero, which does do percent-based damage, very similar to Wolverine, on every time you use that ranged rifle. So you get kind of the same avenue of damage. But you know what I think is super important, dude, is as soon as Crimson made that switch to Cap, we saw more value. We saw more stall. Point just was not moving nearly as much. Dongmin looked great with the 12 finals. We talked about Vanpool being strong. The entirety of this roster locked in, but you got to look at the back line there for NRG Shock. Look at those numbers.
Yeah, I mean, there was a ton of healing output from them, obviously, and, you know, sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. I think that this squad, though, definitely has the chance to come back against Sentinels now as they're all tied up 1-1. Next map will be a convoy, so we'll have to see what's picked for the side of NRG. We're going to go to a short break. We'll come back for that map number 3.
Are tying up the series, and it was a good look for them. They went back to the comfort. You know, we see Crimson Cap is infamous for that. Amazing obviously gets to play a flyer, and Korova came back in and they win. So is Korova the solution? Sample size 1 says yes.
You know, it might be the case.
So,
yeah.
You know.
It might be the case, right? Statistically, 100% win rate today. So you gotta love that, right? But again, I think it's just they started finding comps they're comfortable on. I mean, they're running the triple stuff, which I think they haven't found as much success with, obviously, last match. But this match, they stepped up. I think Korova on that Luna with a lot of, you know, there's damage potential there alongside Amazing and Flamme. Every single one of those duelists has potential to deal a lot of burst damage. We're going to see what they're running here. It's going to Yggdrasil. Big fan of this map. Looking forward to seeing what these teams run out the door, dog. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a good map to watch, I think, just for the classic sake of Ignite, obviously. But for both these teams, for Sentinel specifically, I think this is going to kind of be a test to see if they can play other stuff besides Ultron, because I think this is not a notoriously super good Ultron map. I know that Groot we've seen a lot today on this map, but it's been a lot more Phoenix, a lot more, you know, hard pocket, that character into that department. But obviously both teams don't want either to play Mantis, so I don't know. There's going to be a lot of sort of mental gymnastics both teams are going to have to do in the ban phase.
We love to see it. The ban phase is about to be ready, so let's dive straight into map number 3 between NRG Shock and Sentinels.
All right, my friend, goodbye to Gambito. Off the rip here again. That is something that's been very consistent, but it allows both teams to get on this Elsa. And I mean, you sure, last map, 22 finals. I don't know if you want that to happen again.
Yeah, probably not, but I guess they do. You know what? I guess they do, because they're just going to, you know, or I guess for NRG Shock, they're going to get him downrange for a Chime. But like you mentioned, they're avoiding it for Sentinel's side in terms of that in terms of letting them get the Mantis to help support it. So we're going to see Usher yet again keep on to that Elsa. So we've seen teams even win with it, but it definitely feels like it's a niche situation. Maybe it depends on the team or something along those lines. But for Team Sentinels and NRG Shock, probably going to stick to a similar ban phase, understanding that the Ultron is favored probably by more Sentinels side. For NRG Shock, they're willing to experiment a little bit with the Wolverines and stuff like that. So we'll see if the Invisible Woman is focused on again, and it is by NRG Shock getting rid of it, and then Sentinels not wanting to play against Velocity on the Loki once more.
Yeah, I'm, you know, it's tricky because this ban phase worked out from a very similar ban phase on Dom. This is Yggdrasil now. I do think that, we talk about how Wolves not bad here. A lot of the more traditional compositions, poke heavy stuff, works well here too. The triple works well here. So it's really kind of playing into both teams' strengths. So I'm not sure who I favor at this moment. I think NRG Shock has more of a storied past and look good, but Sentinels woke up in that last map, and I think they might continue it. We'll see.
Kind of with you there, Shib, for sure. I mean, Cloak and Dagger Band comes out at the very end for NRG Shock. And on a map like this, when you're playing kind of front-to-back style as well, I think that Sentinels, they did want to play a little bit more of the Luna Snow kind of with this composition, but at least with the Loki, they probably want to play Cloak and Dagger copy. We saw, like I said, teams banning that at the very end in the last series of, or second to last series in EMEA. Kind of makes sense, right, Shib? Like in this specific matchup, if you're going to be against that Loki, do you think that the Cloak ban is valuable there?
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's because when you do have the double, it's different when you can walk at them twice, and it's the longest straddle, right? Like, you know what I mean? It gives your team the ability to press forward, because the goal when you're running a straddle, if you're going to press it first, if you're going to press Q first, you better make the enemy team press Q. You do not want to just allow them to kite it. And the advantage to Cloak is that you walk them forward so heavily. It's forcing the backline to be on top of some damage, and then the pressure comes out while they stay in Cloak form, right? And just constantly deal damage to you while their whole team is pressing forward. So it is an advantage, but it can be answered with Magneto, but two of them cannot be answered necessarily with Magneto, and we've seen teams find success with Cloak when it's matched like that. So I agree, there's a good ban out here. Defense side of Sentinels, though, typically they have run triple. We'll see if they do it again.
Yeah, absolutely is an option in our third map of the day, second match of the day, as we will, after this series, move into that upper bracket and finish off the day. But in this series, it's winner go home ship. They still have at least a cushion to work with, but they do at the very end ban out that Deadpool Vanguard to get that one-sided matchup that we've seen Dongman get throughout the series. And for the opposite side, Ship, is that ban worth it to keep doing, considering you do get that Vanpool kind of still available for your squad and how good he's played it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know what, you and I have both said, like, why has Vanpool kind of fallen to the wayside? The patch hasn't changed. It's almost like they're prepping for the next patch, right? Like, still use it while you can. And Sentinels are doing just that. NRG Shock not feeling as comfortable. You know what, they don't typically run it as frequently now that I think about it across the board. So maybe they just don't feel as confident on it. They like something more, traditional, as they are running that Groot and Strange. And they do have that Invis team up. You and I both think that team up is very strong right now, enabling you to cancel some of those movement cooldowns from things like Venom, like Cap, and just pulling enemies back close. And Strange plays really good in that melee range.
Yeah, Flame setting up the dive on the flank, backside, kind of pressuring out with this hard flank off angle. Nobody's really doing anything about it until now. Crimzo winning for the hard dive. But as long as you're getting eyes on Chime and Flame doesn't go down, this is not bad. And there we go. Immediate Deadpool comes out from Dongman. They built up enough time. Strats trying to patty cake, but everybody's here to collapse. Excellent work from the side of Sentinels. This is kind of what they've been doing in terms of getting success earlier, is having Flame on these hard flank angles. At least Crimzo's there to follow up on that cap they talked about before.
Yeah, this is back on something that I think they can run well. This is the comp that we just saw them play successfully across our last map. So why not run it once more? Holding totally fine right now. Yes, they don't have a main shield Vanguard on the front line, but you can play. Oh my goodness, Chimes. Sit down, amazing. From downtown, finding one there and walking. It's a good start for the side of NRG Shock. They want to keep this moving. But there's that stall I'm talking about. You don't need to get a billion final hits as Cap. Just play on the point. Don't allow it to move. Force eyes in different directions. Make them constantly panic. But it's all about testing comms down. I'll tell you what, a team that does comms well is NRG Shock.
And they've moved up. They're working on the front line again. At least forcing out that taunt out, but there's that extermination. Glartrox also comes out too, but it's all healed up by the Luna Snow. Excellent ultimate placement by Velocities, and they get the KOs afterwards. So just with those overlaying of ults, I mean, Sentinels, they're just going to fall back and go away. And the Ultron, this was the worry for them, I think, is just kind of fell off after first point.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like it works sometimes and it doesn't. It's really difficult. I think this map has some angles where Ultron can play well, but there's a lot of free space for you to look up after you break a lot of the breakable structures, and it kind of puts Ultron in a tough spot, especially when you're going against some really strong hit scan.
Well, they kind of figured it out. They just freaking walk at them because they're too worried about the flanks. Everybody played back. I guess once they got the card on the corner, but yeah, they're just kind of negating. Okay, now Flame goes down, so they're getting staggered brutally, Shiv. I mean, this could be the downfall of Sentinels if they don't get a single fight win together. I mean, the only fight they've won so far was with the Deadpool ultimate that they don't have just yet.
Yeah, and there is going to be the commitment. Crimzo going to walk them forward with the freedom charge. Madara dropping backwards. Out goes a nice answer this time right now from Renko. Madara potentially using this boundary to find a cheeky Eye of Agamotto. Exactly, that's the plan on the back line. Can they clean this up? They do. It's Jeff comes through. This might be big from Flame. Can Flame get out? And it looks like he might just be able to. Not sure how many were caught inside that. It's Jeff. Renko dropping back, doing a nice patty cake as Crimzo tries to find another. And it looks like Window goes off map there. Well done, Flame.
Yeah, for sure. Getting one. You have immediate ult committed by the side of Stinkers. Able to find 1-2. Deadpool ultimate at least forcing out the passive. But it's 1-for-1 trades, which is, I think, fine for Shock at the current moment, unless they can maybe stagger this forward, get a big ult, or get a big Glartrox off from Usher. Meanwhile, from NRG Shock, they negated that last time. Window now going over to the Hulk.
And there is going to be a big fastball special opportunity in a moment, just trying to find something. A little bit of a boomerang shot. Look for that cap. Well done by Crimzo to stay away from some of that chaos. You can actually use the dash on D to avoid the kidnap if you're insane on reading that commitment. But we can see some movement here by Chime, who is locked in. Chime time once more. Tries to find two instead, just looks for one. In the off angle, Flame trying to stay away right now, looking for a re-engage. You see a lot of the top strats not afraid to just drop back and retake with the team if the moment's right, especially when you're on that Jeff or something that's more self-survivable. And there's a lot of space being taken here, though.
Yeah, that's the problem when teams talk about like why you can't really run dive every single map sometimes. Large rocks. Oh my goodness! Chime removes both Usher and Kurova. That's, disgusting. And also another under Rye amazing. But they're not really having anybody anchor on these points at this current moment. Sentinels, their whole game plan is to bubble somebody off with that Dongman bubble on the Deadpool. But if they don't get the KO, they just get walked back on. And again, just rocket speed through this second phase of the map. We'll see if they can maybe do something, but it doesn't look like it, and they're probably going to have to switch off this Ultron stuff soon.
And you can notice like the little things, folks. Take this into ladder. Madara there using walls to not necessarily cut off LOS in front, but breaking the line of sight for Jeff on the flank. You know, you also you see Window switch over to the Hulk, using that bubble to keep the team healthy should an ultimate be committed. There's a lot of shutdown in the composition here, and I think it's clearly working right now for NRG Shock with 3 minutes on. A team that is very cerebral. I love to see what they come up with when their back's against the wall. This is one of those moments. Sentinels sticking to a composition that may be struggling right now. Can they hold here on point 3 and make this a winnable map? We'll find out in this next fight. Crimzo almost available for ultimate again.
He is. I mean, it's been a long time, I think, since we've seen a Captain America reflect a Groot ultimate. But it is always a possibility, since the Groot on their team and Madara will be looking for it. But it's going to be a slow find at the current moment. Sentinel's kind of playing it deep around the corner with Flame also far back. And like you mentioned earlier about this Captain America player staggering it out, Renko gets hit by the Deadpool, but Usher on the front line will go down. So you take that in the meanwhile as everybody fell back into this invisible boundary, and Stinkers again just able to get so much value just after being 100 rage the whole time. Cart still pushing Shib during this entire third point of the map.
Velocity with a huge pick there on Dongman. I mean, that's just lights out play. Great freeze in the moment, finding those headshots. Imagine the boost coming with the next patch on this hero. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of her. Fastball special again. Another advantage to having that Hulk on the roster or on the play. Right now, Crimzo trying to hold on. Another wall just to isolate. Again, folks, there's so much value in that. It doesn't always need to be a KO. Stats don't always tell the tale. As we see Renko finding Rye amazing. And I don't know, Sentinels, you got to figure something out here now because Shock have downloaded you on this composition. You sure, though, trying to find a few. Not going to work. Instead, just a return to sender there, being delivered right into the KO. And Madara with an insane wall. Wouldn't have mattered, though, as the Hulk bubble was there as well.
Yeah, excellent reads by the side of NRG Shock as a whole. Everybody reacting. And now no more ults for Sentinels, right? That was the one situation that they could win it in. And NRG Shock have done it with 1 minute and 25 seconds. Beautiful work out of the squad. The orange and white looking good today.
Yeah, and folks, you can use those Groot walls right in the center of the It's Jeff there. If you place it right in the center to keep your team up, and so that's why you saw that really fast reaction was smart. But you can also just use Hulk's bubble, which would have also landed in that moment. Both of them ready to react. Not a lot of value out of those It's Jeffs right now. So we are going to see likely a switch up, or maybe not, as Flame is going back at the moment. But I think I like what I'm seeing. I think Rye amazing, we put back on the duelist here because that composition wasn't working. In NRG Shock, you don't need to change much. Whatever you're comfortable on right now, because they are looking confident once again. And that's what you like to see as an NRG Shock fan.
Yeah, I'm with you in that situation. Like, I think for Sentinel's side, they're obviously going to think about it a little bit, but I mean, the Ultron really wasn't working. The full dives, the setups, I mean, we sometimes get one, but NRG Shock just started to read those super well. And also just focus around that payload. we'll see what they kind of do on defense as well. But this map in particular, I think, just with the Ultron, without the Mantis comps, hasn't really shown a ton of promise to me specifically at the current moment. But, it looks like NRG Shock might be thinking about doing that on their first hold. Maybe going to swap it up later. At the moment, Sentinels, they have a lot to think about. They could potentially still snowball, but it's going to be, pretty tough. We did see Rye, you talked about earlier, doing well on that Phoenix. Definitely has the time to shine again on this first attack.
Yeah, I think Ultron's incredibly strong in the meta, but it's not always the answer for your team. Whether it's, you maybe don't play it as well as a unit or whatever the case may be. It works on certain maps. That's also a story. It doesn't always need to be forced. If you're struggling, I think the switch needs to come in. I love Rye's switch here. And I like, again, what I'm seeing out of the composition from Shock. Window making that switch over to Cap to try to do exactly what Crimzo was doing. And that's get on that point, stall it for as much as possible, and just force out some cooldowns from these backlines.
They back it up in the meanwhile. Both Elsa players playing slow, but this time Madara is the one to go down. Excellent pick from the attack, just to walk forward. Space kind of given. Portal going to come through, and this is actually a tough portal play in time in the windows, just due to the fact that, they are pushing so fast right now, Shib. It's just excellent pace of play. Portal going to come in a moment.
Yeah, Sentinels now stepping up, much like Shock did on point one. Portal gets committed. Notice how it's backwards, folks. Use it as a wall. Do not put it in the sky, folks. If you'll notice, the best players on Strange never put the portal in the sky. It just does not work out. You want to use it as a structure to play around. Please, you take anything as a Strange player, do that. But you can see the walls on height there. Great positioning once more from the side of Crimzo. Shock, I like the movement, but it's going to end here with an Ensong Inferno. Bang, does land. And Rymazing finds Madara now. And they are keeping this momentum. A huge ultimate here from Crimzo. Try to clean that up. And oh my goodness, that Glartrox is absolutely massive off the back of that strangling prison. And NRG Shock might take that personally here. Have ults available in the next fight, but Sentinels look really good.
Yeah, that's a strike. That's absolutely a strike. This game could be seen as a hero shooting bowling game if Usher is just going to be able to hit easy Glartrox is like that. Now NRG Shock on their second phase. Like you mentioned, not a lot of time back in the bank. Kind of made the same mistakes as this Ultron comp on first point. But Sentinels, off of that, they can snowball this. If they get a few picks here on second phase, neither team is able to hold in this second phase of the map. But it all depends on these Groot walls now, because on the opposite side, Window is now going to be matching on Groot.
Yeah, ult advantage going to be the side of NRG Shock here. You're going to see Chime with that Glartrox be threatening. Kurova has an answer with the dance floor, and you might see Kurova chase. Watch, yes. You see the Glartrox try to chase with that dance floor. You know what? You can't be hurt by a monster as long as you're dancing, I'll tell you that much. But good play there. Great focus onto Crimzo to burn that down from NRG Shock. And that's just on the back off some good comms, looking upwards, waiting for that. It's a little bit of a game you have to play when you are in Phoenix, in the sky, like that in Phoenix form. Bang, it comes down, but it gets burned out of the sky. Again, NRG Shock's comms are lights out. Window finds Usher, Madara onto Flamay, and that is even more there now. Dongmin going to be staggered here.
All right, nice stagger on the Dongman. And I think Madara and his swap over to the Magneto has been super good. And I guess this is the problem, maybe the one sort of asterisk for tank pool, in that, when we see a lot of these tank pool players, sometimes you pop the ultimate and just the follow-up can't be there because, well, in that last fight, Madara has some super good team utility, keeps the team healthy with their push, obviously blocks off the healing for those supports and those strategists. But Crimson trying to set up on his flank. Stinker's trying to match him. At least, honor that flank. Maybe come back for the 1v1 if he does, but he's got Snowflake the whole time. Stinker's at least trying to remove him out of the fight.
Yeah, the positioning here from Shock shows just how they want to take this defense. This is a great spot to be holding. You want to try to find cover naturally. This first bend right there you can play around allows you to not only drop back to a corner that'll keep you safe, an unbreakable corner, but you can play aggro and shove them back to their spawn door, which you virtually have vision on from back here. This is a really defensible position by NRG Shock. And this is why they wanted it to be playing at this map. Out goes Ironwood Wall. You can see the play there, the pressure coming in from Dongman, but pays for it in blood as Chime finds one. And now Shocker up a number again. Flame going under. There's the Itch Jeff. Does that one land this time? There's more chase. It does not land. Goodbye to the Flame. Ooh, good movement. Good movement to escape after the chase comes through from Stinkers. Playing a good job essentially peeling as the Wolverine.
Yeah, at least he lives in that previous fight. And now he's set up on that flank with Crimzo, which I think Crimzo kind of wanted. So for NRG Shock, we'll see what they opt to do. They could just walk forward. Already bubbles used. And oh no, Kurova's ult's too late. Here comes the Phoenix. At least the combo.
Wow.
So they do get two with the damage boost from that ultimate. But will they be able to find more? Stinker still has ult later. Or they want to retouch. It looks like the answer is retouch.
Really clean play there from Sentinels on that take, but did have to commit a ton. But the Glartrox available in the kind of windows you want Glartrox on is these tight locations, these tight entry points. But Chime has the exact same answer. Stinkers with the ultimate in window as well. There is a ton of combination potential here. Yusher and Crimzo are going to be the hope of Sentinels on the attack. And on the backs of Window, Stinkers, and Chime for the defense. Who comes out on top in this next fight? We'll find out in a moment, as it will be intense here. A minute 40 on the attack. Is still a lot of time, though.
It still is. Groot gets yeeted out, but Cap ult here to kind of keep everybody healthy into the Wolverine ult right after, but it's not enough damage. Glartrox also gets hit by the wall, so every ult on this defense pretty much goes to waste. But the invisible boundary here from Renko. Ride does fall, so the damage output was a little bit too much. Regardless, Crimson just waits out the invisible boundary. In the meanwhile, Dogman tossed in the ban hammer, but he's the one getting banned back to spawn, and everybody has to fall back now due to the fact that they're losing a lot of that frontline support. Ryan Mason's going to have to switch back to Daredevil now to walk back, but they've lost Flame on the flank again, and once more, just dive not looking too clean for Sentinels now.
Yeah, I mean, Yusher and Kurova in a very difficult spot, but they might be able to, I was going to say, they might be able to escape, and if they don't, they are in big trouble, and that is an insanely long stagger onto Kurova there. Great focus by the side of Shock once again. No ults available at Psych. I lied. Moderate and Velocity going to be there in this next fight. Flame going to be close, but that's not a big answer here. Not a big, attack either for the side of Sentinels with 40 seconds on. A portal will be the only other answer besides this final attack. Will it work out for him as Stinkers is looking for this chase out of Crimson? Insane movement, but it won't last long. Wow, the downtown way back there in the spawn.
Freaking cat and mouse, but in this case, it's dog and a man. Oh, wait, hold on. That's weird. Don't like that one, but they had to
Dogman, wait a minute.
No,
hold on.
No.
Hold on.
Anyway,
You might be onto something.
That's a different brand. I forgot the different brand, actually. That's Dave Pilkington.
Good sell promo. Get him banned by the mods in the chat. Can we get him banned, please?
Okay, that's going to happen. Sentinels, though, ban hammer available. Good reference. Now you're bringing up that because Dongman has walked in with this every fight, but it's disengaged by Shock again. Now they walk in with the dance floor once more. And again, I mean, they were here with the invisible boundary. Can you sure maybe connect? It seems like this angle is so tough to get a good ult off. Window tossed out the Groot ultimate. Follow-up, not really there, but at least they forced out a straddle. Still, Lartrox is here, but it's such a tight angle shift. It doesn't go anywhere. Counter Lartrox, other side, pulled back in the hallway of doom, and nobody touches. He didn't even get overtime. They got pulled off. That's such a sick Lartrox. No way they get it done.
Chime time, without a doubt. That was absolutely disgusting, like you said, buddy. What a call out there. I mean, are you not entertained? How much back and forth can we have today? Dude, how are we seeing all this? It's crazy as Velocity goes back-to-back on the W's with the MVP, even through the flu game, as we like to say. And again, up one is NRG Shock, but now at game, set, match point.
Yeah, it's just been such a roll from Energy Shock after the last two maps. I'm curious how Sentinels adjust going to the next one. You know, obviously they look a lot more comfortable playing the Ultron stuff. We'll see if they want to keep that up or even protect the Mantis early. You know, the Gambit ban gets out early. If we're going to just hard play triple, maybe even do what European teams would do and just protect that Mantis. But we will see what Sentinels do. Their backs are against the wall. Energy Shock trying to close out. We'll find out what happens after this break.
Dog taking that third map, and now they're finding themselves on map point. So it's on Sentinels to figure out where to take them next, as they have, of course, the map pick. I'm interested and I want to dive into the potential upcoming map, but first let's talk about how NRG got this one done, okay? Like, looking at Sentinels' defense here first, I was kind of baffled that they just ran their heads into the wall with their composition. Like, I felt like maybe they could have made something work, shaved more time off of Energy's clock if they would have just switched a little earlier. Was that just, like, what would you attribute that to? Like, why was there so much unwillingness to, like, switch something up?
Doug, I'm curious if we have a different take. It's dicey for a multitude of reasons. One, sometimes the conversation is, we'll switch, let me just ult first. And then it's like, oh, we lost another fight. I didn't ult. Should we go again? Do I lose this ult charge? And then it's, you know what, this should work on paper. This has worked for us in the past. Something's off. I made a mistake. That's the reason the comp isn't working. And then once those comps start coming into play, next thing you know, you're caught in the same loop and just constantly trying to run the same comp that maybe isn't working. And like you said, running your head into a wall. And yeah, I just don't think they made the switch fast enough clearly on the defense and on the opposition. When you're looking at the way NRG Shock's been playing, they're not afraid to switch whenever they need to.
Yeah, I'm kind of just you put it perfectly. It's tough. Like I think maybe there's just a map diff. Maybe we have to go to the next one for the side of Sentinels and figure out a better map to play on because, yeah, just the dive stuff not really working there. Especially it looks like Flame A wasn't getting as much done as we saw on Celestial Husk. So I'm assuming it's going to be map diff. Maybe we go to one that Sentinels is more comfortable on.
In terms of the ban and lock phase here, do you feel like any switches are necessary? Because they both kind of stuck to what they're comfortable with there thus far.
Oh yeah, I feel like we could maybe take a page out of EMEA, maybe go for that Mantis Protect. I feel like it wouldn't be bad if we're just going to play non-stop triple, especially now that we're going over to Krakoa. I don't know, like if you just want to play triple with Ultron, you need the Mantis to help support that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that it's kind of pivotal it's not pivotal to the Ultron comp, but it makes Ultron significantly more threatening. And I think that is kind of what we see a lot of the top teams try to run. And granted, they're still running the Ultron, but they're using it more as an answer to a lot of heavy dive. And I don't think NRG Shock are doing that. They are running traditional comps. It's not like you're constantly being threatened, so you need to rotate those drones to the back line so you can look forward and apply pressure. It's just like, all right, we just feel comfortable on this comp. You need to be retroactive. You need to be responsive, right? You need to be trying to find a solution to the comp that you're facing and not something that you're always just comfortable on.
Absolutely. I mean, this is do or die for Sentinels, so they definitely have to come up with something. It was great for them to switch things up here. Obviously, like even bringing in a sub, Karova, back in the mix. How are we feeling about Karova's performance? Because I would assume that he's coming off quite cold off of that bench. I don't know how much scrim time he actually had with the team heading into the playoffs.
I mean, I assume that, like, yeah, I like it. I've liked what he's done so far. He's had a Karova play at least once or twice where, like, he had a big freeze and then, goes down with the ultimate or something like that at the same time. I mean, I like it. He's very aggressive. Maybe that's, like, the counter why they like Mirror in the game. But I don't know if it's impacted too much for me on this team. Like, I really don't think that it's changing the fundamental problem, which that, a lot of teams are kind of shading away from these dive comps and these Ultron comps without Mantis, and that's kind of the main problem. I think Karova's played well. I think Mir hasn't played particularly bad. So for me, I'm not blaming any strategist in this game necessarily. It might just be an overall team sort of mentality and sort of cohesion with the kind of off-meta heroes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough point to bring up because it's so tricky and just piggybacking on what you're saying. So it's like, I don't know, who do they scrim with? Who do they practice with? A lot of these teams that have rotations and rosters, it's got to mess with the flow of communication too and understanding. And yeah, they're all sitting there in the comms. They're hearing everybody talk, but in practice, it just feels very different. And I think it can affect the way you play, without a doubt.
Absolutely. We talk about subbing strats, right, and how it's a double-edged sword. If you're looking at, like, the NRG Shocks, well, I mean, that's a really big roster too, but so far we've not really seen them people being subbed in and out. They kind of just stick into what's working for them. I mean, obviously, if it's working, why would you switch? So there's that. Now, of course, NRG Shock, another thing that really stands out for me for this team is that they're extremely momentum-based. I feel like once they get something rolling, they can ride that momentum. Whereas Sen, I feel like they're one of those teams that kind of start to overthink. They're like overdraft, overstrat. They might get into their heads.
Yeah, I think they will. Like, you're right, Zoe. I think that's a great point to bring up just because of the fact that, this team in the past also have kind of been in that situation where they're definitely riding on momentum, kind of overthink themselves sometime. But in terms of this matchup particularly, it just does feel like I need to see a little bit more out of the squad because with subbing and strat players too, to kind of go back to that point, I'm not sure how much that's actually changing. Like, we need to see some fundamental differences out of Rymazing as well. Like, I loved what he was doing on Phoenix in the first map. If they could ride the high of that, if Riot could maybe level up to where he was on map number 1, then this team's chances definitely skyrocket against NRG. But this is map point now, Zoe, so it's a little bit late to have to make adjustments like that.
Yeah, perhaps this is really just like you gotta play deep into your comfort zone. You obviously picked the map, so you should have that one going for you. What would be the craziest thing we could see here, Ship? Like, it's just gonna
What
be
I
like
would
a Rymazing Iron Man, like just like unleash them all.
That would be crazy, for sure. Listen, I would love it. I also just think of something that maybe is realistic that I think maybe they could, they should start working on is they've got a really good cap player. They've got a really good, honestly, Rymazing's been great on DD, and they constantly have Flame in the back line flanking. Well, why don't we try to synergize with that a little bit? They're just not doing it. So, I don't know, but looks like we're heading into our next match here, Zoe.
We are indeed. Match point for NRG Shock, and Sentinels have 1 foot out the door. Can they hold on? Let's find out.
All right, my friend, we're going to see if there's any change in the ban phase, and it looks like no. We are going to see that Elsa on both sides yet again. You sure looking great, but so is the opposition on the side of Chime Time with that huge Glarchox to win them last map.
All right, protected the Elsa into the Mantis ban. But do they try to get that one-sided Mantis then, right? They go to Krakoa. This was the map, I believe, as well, that when, NRG and Sentinels did play. Wait, no, that was Celestial Husk that they won on Nevermind versus NRG, so it is a bit of a difference in that regard. But I kind of just want to see them make that crazy play. You sure has been really good, like you said. That was a turnaround map from Chime, right? Like, that was a nice play from him on the previous map.
Yeah, both ults were actually kind of big. It's just Chimes was just a little bit larger, and that's all you can ask for, as we see, like expected, the double lock there. We knew that was coming from a mile away. I do think, I'm not sure, but I do think Sentinels, if they get in, they can run that triple comp if they want to, but if they run into the issue they've been running into where it's struggling, they need to just try to switch up completely. They can't keep running it. It just doesn't work on certain maps for them. I think that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. I think we're both not necessarily worried for Sentinels on domination, necessarily, considering the fact that, like you mentioned, like it's just a better map for dive, right? To surround and do crazy stuff, especially with how good Dongwin's been playing. But it is like long term, what happens if we do go to map 5? Where do we go after that with NRG? They go for the Ultron ban off the rip just to counter what Sentinels were going to do in that regard. So already trying to focus on comfort pick for Sentinels.
Yeah, there is some decent height that you can cover around, on these maps here on Krakoa for Ultron. So, definitely a better map there. So, likely had that scrim practice in the past, saw a little bit of a struggle there. Obviously, Rymazing's really strong on the hero. It's not always the case that, it's the player's fault. It's also, there's so much going on behind the scenes, and that's why you rarely can you look at stats and judge a team. But the lock-in here of you see Jeff as well and DD. Like this map. Honestly, both sides are drafting pretty well here.
Why did they ban Luna, though? Because, I get that a little bit, but also, doesn't this team like to play... Well, so the Invis is still through. And then also, they like to play the Loki stuff on the side of NRG Shock, so they could do Loki, like Cloak and Dagger. I know Luna's good, don't get me wrong, but it's just interesting.
Well, I think, the conversation might just be Velocity was a big problem for them. Velocity went down twice last match, 53k healing. Next closest on the opposition being 32, right? You know what I mean? So I think Velocity is just discussing the backline on that hero. Maybe that's not the case, but that would be my best guess as to why.
Fair enough. Well, they're getting through in terms of, certain strategists. It's also still the same priority for NRG Shock going through with that full strategist ban phase, whereas NRG Shock mostly strategist except for that Van Pool on the NRG Shock side to make sure that they keep giving Dongwin that one-sided Vanguard Deadpool. But if you're a Sentinels fan, you gotta get at least a little bit of energy towards this team because they have to start here if they want to have a chance in the playoffs of our preseason. Otherwise, NRG Shock could send them packing.
Yep, it is game point. And remember, folks, losing team goes home. They don't move to a lower side of the bracket. This is the lower side of the bracket. You can see now a little bit of that jumping, using that bunny hop to get the point quicker. A lot of that movement tech used across the board on heroes that do allow it. Venom being one of them in the front line here. Ranko on that Jeff. This is one of those maps you can find success with Jeff. It's all about stalling now. And look at these comps, just stall comps for days on both sides here, which is something Sentinels hasn't been doing as much. Crimzo on the Venom instead of on the Cap, and you can see Window going to be on the Cap as Madara now is also on the Venom. So much stall on the side of NRG. If they can get this point early, it's going to be dicey, but Flame able to find one early on a Velocity is a massive start for the side of Sentinels, and they will get this point.
And it's kind of a different look, too. They're going to get that Venom team up with Flame as well and Rymazing on the Star-Lord. So this is very weird out of them off the rip, but it's nice, right? There's no mag on the other side to counter Rymazing necessarily. You don't have the Daredevil, of course, which you would assume Ry would be good on. But at least in this sort of neutral, he can go in with Crimzo, go in with the Blaster Barrage, set up that. but it's Renko on the Jeff that we kind of haven't seen play Jeff throughout the series just due to how things have happened in the ban phase. But Dongmin already sits with the ban hammer ready to go.
Yeah, it's a big cooldown. Gonna look towards backline immediately, uses it, forces them backwards, keeping and owning that space. Now you can look forward, and that's the idea right there. Notice the separation, then you turn on the vanguards, and ooh, goodbye, Stinkers. Great play there again by Sentinels off some really strong communication there from Dongmin. We've seen a lot of success on Strange over the history of Marvel Rivals, but it's looked really good on this Van pool too.
Well, Stinkers is just like, okay, we're not going to set up for my dives. I'm going to go in and go down. I'll switch to Ultron. So they go for that one-sided Ultron matchup. We'll see if it works out. On this map, did they have to claim a lot of space against Team Sentinels who sit with ultimates? And Yusher again, okay, just takes Madara out of the sky. Goodbye, Venom.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Sentinels are playing flawlessly. They have ults up. Chime trying right now with something. Not able to get a huge eat, but it's matched right back by Yusher. Same story. Nothing.
Everybody dodged it.
Yeah, nothing right there. Just reading the situation. Whoa, I didn't even hear the It's Jeff. As that comes through heavy. Does not seem to land either. Might have found one via teammate. As Flame in the backside does have that ult answer as well. The dive comes through now. Switch up on the side of Crimzo, diving that back. Kurova brings out the dance floor. Rymazing and Flame have ult available. Crimzo as well. It might be combined here with Kurova. If there's enough time, there's not. And here goes Rymazing up in the sky. Haven't seen a lot of this pick here from Ry. And I do think Star-Lord's great right now in the current meta.
Yeah, he's trying to find something in the backline. They did fully disengage it. The clap down Madara again. Desynced his NRG, just like going for this sort of pseudo dive. Nice freeze from Kurova again to slow down window. Ultron's Rage is here from Stinkers to at least remove Flame, who, you know, went a bit aggressive. And actually, the shoe, it's everything's flipped for the side of NRG. They take control now as Dongmin goes down. And the rest of the squad for Team Sentinels is Flame, just a weird situation to happen as they went down in the middle of the fight.
Yeah, Madara with ult available still for initiation, but 99% there for Sentinels. Their goal now is to group up as a unit, fight one more time with ults committed, likely looking for Dongmin, Yusher, and Flame to ult together in one fight to win this map. And that's all they need. If they're tracking properly, they can make that happen soon. Chime and Madara are going to be the heroes of this fight if they can make it happen. Obviously have the talent to do so, but it's all about clutch moments. Who gets the ball? The last few seconds, we'll see here in a moment. Yusher with a huge ult once more on a velocity and Chime as Dongmin takes out Stinkers. And a portal play is going to need to be committed if a stall can happen. It cannot. And this is looking like Sentinels on the retake. Portal is coming now from Velocity, forcing a compositional switch here from NRG.
Yeah, stalling it out right now is the side of Madara, but it gets frozen, deleted again. Kind of a tough map from him so far, but Chime comes back with this Lartrox. I mean, he would have to be huge with it. It's going to be a very hard situation to win. Window gets deleted, and yep, going next round. Sentinels claim the first one.
This is exactly the way Sentinels wanted to start this. I mean, it was flawless for the first three fights. We talk about in domination, if you can get point early, it puts you in a good spot. And that's because you kind of can drive the pressure. And when you want to engage, similar to how you saw Dongmin use that ban hammer on the back line after they've already pressed through the choke, forcing the strats to escape and run together far away from the front line. They lost a few off the back of that. And immediately, once again, it was a W for the side of Sentinels in that fight. And that is why it's so strong early on. NRG Shock are going to have ult advantage in this next fight. Can they do the exact same thing that was done to them?
That's a good question, Shib. Is, you know, NRG Shock, you know, kind of also in a similar situation in that regard. For Sentinels, those surrounds working. I mean, Crimzo on the Venoms look clean so far at the moment. Dongmin as well, obviously. He's just gotten value out of tank pool throughout the series. But for NRG Shock side, it's just interesting to see them have to play this Ultron composition. But they go for a super hard sustained composition around Chime. Just going for that. Oh, never mind. They had the Loki first originally from Velocities, but goes back for the speed then to it. So Cloak and Dagger Loki, we've seen that on other maps. Maybe not as much on Domination, I suppose. But they're going to have to really sustain, out-sustain, especially Sentinels force them to go for those combos. Because Crimzo does have that combo with Kurova. But again, they haven't really set up for it in the previous fights.
Agreed. It's just been a little bit of a mismatch in timing, just by like milliseconds too, is the brutal part. But sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles, and you're forcing out a strat line out. They don't always have, you know, the option to be as patient as possible. Try to be reactive to when that happens, to then using the Venom after the fact. But it can be tough when Crystals is on the table as well, which is a great answer to that combo. Window able to find Flame early on. Out goes Eternal Bond and the dance floor now. So I do think we're going to see a stall here. But look at these walls, just providing so much value right now.
And they're stalling it out. I mean, Window's close to that Renko as well, so they did use the copy early on. still had that Ultron Rage as well, and no more combo because Crimzo used his ult afterwards, so unfortunate they can't get a KO through that feast. It's all on Yusha right now. Could he even connect at the current moment? Nope, just going to back up, save his instinct. And NRG Shock control the point with this ultra-sustained composition.
Dude, this is just insanity. And just like we assumed, NRG Shock comes in with advantage, even through the chaos, managed to take this point first. And now they're going to put Sen in a tough spot, who had committed ultimates in that fight. And, you know, sometimes you either want to hold on and retake as a unit in a fight that you can win, or you don't commit. And when you do both, it's tough, and that's a huge ult here. Oh my goodness, now are you joking me? Window going to sweep everyone with no overcommitment and are going to force a slow stagger here. Wow, great movement there by Rai. Able to escape with just a couple HP.
Yeah, again, they're just like all together in the middle. You know, they're bunkering well against velocities, and we saw this on map number 1. Saw it, you know, velocities and the rest of NRG Shock just hard played around them, and they just win. Sentinels just haven't been able to figure out something around it. Usually that's these combinations between the Venom and stuff, and now Crimson's going over to Angela of all things to try to push them towards the open and try to grab them. But as well, I mean, maybe you could grab them out of this Cloak and Dagger ult. It's going to be dicey. It's definitely last resort for them, as NRG Shock still has the most to work with. Maybe you can get a big Jeff ult from Flame.
Yeah, Dongmin has ult available too here. Switch there from Crimzo. Discussed here is going to see some change in potential value, but I will say it's going to definitely change the pace and what NRG Shock needs to do, because you can find pulls on that Cloak and Dagger combination, and when there's two of them, you know, you're looking for any sort of way to just find a pick through a strat ult in the neutral without using an ultimate yourself. Amazing on height now, forcing out immediately Galactic Legend. Will this work out? There goes Crimzo with the first pick onto Window. Huge play there, but now it is going to pull out an Eternal Bond. And he used it. I love it, using the waterfall there. Good escape. Crimzo playing the low side, trying to get back to point in a moment. Wow, it's a massive pin. Shish kebab, if you will. Some steak and peppers, and is going to find that pick with Yusha.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you don't run the Wolverine, you might as well go Angela and try to pull everybody out of it. Eventually, we're going to get this point. They just need a playmaker. That's the big thing, right? Like, when you have Crimzo on the Angela, he's able to kind of come through in these cloak ults and kind of eventually push in, right? Like, it just seems like every time there's not been anybody to counteract this. Rinko now going over to the Invisible Woman to counter the Invisible, the Angela on the opposite side. But still, 99% of the board. Energy set themselves up for a good position. Now, the problem is, they love to disengage. They want to play together as a cohesive unit. And for Sentinels, they got to keep surrounding around the entire map, basically, as Windows switched over to the Hulk to maybe counter some of the Crimzo Angela plays.
From downtown here, Flame. Obviously, this spray is going to take a little bit of a damage reduction nerf coming up here. Chime onto Kurova early on NRG Shock now. That's a huge start there for them on the back of a Rage of Ultron. Still have ultimates available. Crimzo commits here. Heaven's Descent. Can they find any value off the back of that? Putting pressure onto the back line, but some great patty caking and just keeping calm in those moments. Chime finding Amazing. That's 2 numbers down. Flame looking for a big ult. Will it work out? Everybody's separating. Window holding onto that bubble. There's the off-angle play. It looks like the It's Jeff was just more of a repositioning tool to head towards the backline and help out as Crimzo drops velocity. And they are doing a great job in maintaining pressure, even being down numbers. Shout out Sentinels right now as Kurova starts up with the dance floor. Chime once more, finding a pick onto Dongmin though. And now again, NRG are up numbers. Good exile there, and OT is happening, but NRG Shock with the point switch.
Yeah, I mean, the exile that you mentioned, Shib, flipped the point because he couldn't contest. And now we go in with the Invisible Boundary on Renko's side to help sustain. And you know, this kind of all goes down to, again, like you mentioned, Chime finding these pickoffs mid-fight, and Sentinels, you know, struggling a little bit. Yusha just having a bit of a hard time to find anything, really, and not really his fault. Goes in with an aggressive large rocks, does get at least one, but pulled in by the Hulk into the ground. Slam dunk into Chime's gunshot. Amazing work from him. Nobody else touches, and NRG Shock tie it up.
Why not? Extend it all the way now. This is just absolute insanity. Both teams playing lights out. Both teams, you know, I can see a little bit of them on these first fights playing a bit on their heels. It's all about the aggression here. Sentinels played aggro very much so on point 1, on map 1. Same story there for Shock, but they did have ult advantage on map 2. The question is, who's going to come out on top early on? Because both teams so far, whoever's got point first, it's worked out for them in the end. Ult advantage on the side of Velocity and NRG Shock.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's like Rust as well coming through in that last map, like you mentioned with Kurova, because Kurova went down with ult while NRG Shock kind of just walked at him. And Sentinels, they were just trying to set up one of their dive plays and just like let everybody fall back. You kind of saw where they all were, but NRG Shock still found that pick. Excellent play by them, obviously, but that really negated any sort of comeback potential for Sentinels. And now, Shib, I mean, for NRG Shock, obviously they have at least a copy. They can play around the point. For Sentinels, maybe they try to grab everybody out of it, but again, they don't have any person to do that, right? They're now switching off the Angela Crimson back on the Captain America, and they don't have the Wolverine to potentially bring somebody out of the upcoming Velocities Cloak and Dagger Ultimate.
You know what? I don't hate Flame's choice here of Rocket either. I really don't. I think the BRB is very valuable, especially in a comp where they're, NRG's finding a lot of early picks on you, and then you come back heavy with the BRB. I think we've seen Rocket take a little bit of a step back, but definitely still viable. And you have Kurova on the main line, a little more, season 0 style stuff here. What a freeze. Are you joking? That was massive. Still going to be committed after the fact, though, is Velocity now, as they're not able to find a pick through the freeze. Crimzo dropping backwards, 100 HP in a dream. Good movement there. Back on point goes Dongmin. Doesn't want to get them point that early, but pays for it as Madara now finds that pick.
But you still have Shadow. It's like we can't fight into this.
But they have the BRB.
Oh, you're right. The BRB, yeah, true. Good point. But they at least give it the point for now. Long term, though, let's see what happens with Chime on this off angle. Can they find the pick? Ryan Amazing still in the sky. Hasn't really had a big ultimate just yet with the Star-Lord. No, but maybe can full set the Ultron's Rage. Maybe get somebody in the sky. But regardless, Greens, Bubbles used to disengage. Now they come back in with Ultron's Rage.
Window looking to try to find something there out of the sky. Not able to find that value just yet. Point being captured and owned here by NRG. And here comes the retake. The Sia gets committed. It's in front there. You're going to see this Meteor M likely land on top of that Sia. Yes, and it gets removed. Not a bad idea in those moments where it is available to you like that and they don't have much protection. Here goes the heavy commitment now as Crimzo dives in with the Freedom Charge. A guard trucks off map. Dongmin is able to get back on with some clean movement. It's matched right back with another guard trucks, neither of which is going to get any KO. Chime under Amazing, and now numbers up again for NRG Shock that are looking dominant on this map so far.
The BRB brings him back again, so Flame getting max value out of it regardless. NRG Shock anchoring on that point again. Problem with the Loki on this map and on the previous one. I mean, Velocity just anchoring it down with this backline. Everybody bunkering on the inside. Finally, they find that pick, but the Cloak and Dagger ult is out. Same with the Hulk. They can push him away out of this Luna dance floor. But at least as long as you can stall out this Hulk, maybe wait out the ultimate, and nice freeze as well, you can cut back into it.
Yeah, nice exile there again. I mean, NRG Shock are playing lights out. It's that simple right now. They've stepped up on this domination since losing to Sen in the past, and they just look so committed. I mean, Sentinels winning map 1, and it's been like Bruce Banner and the Hulk here for NRG Shock. Owning this space, 81% and climbing now. Can they clinch this W with ult advantage from Stinkers?
Yeah, and something crazy is going to have to happen because, I mean, last time it was disengaged by Window. Window gets forced out of Hulk form. That's huge. Rye actually has a free ult now because of it. Last time they peeled off the Ultron. He goes in the sky. Dongmin finds one. Window trades back in Bruce Banner form. But regardless, brought back by the BRB. Finally, Sentinels have the edge because of that first Hulk pick to send Window into Bruce Banner form. Rye Amazing, whole map, had tough time on Star-Lord, but now is getting things going, dude. So Sentinels, we'll see what happens as they continue on. First time they've controlled this since the first round. For NRG Shock, I mean, Chime has done it time and time again. Could he close it out against Sentinels?
And back on again they go. What do you know? The Glartroxes are available. It's been a story as old as time here. Madara back on that Groot. I think this is another one of those maps where you can isolate heavy with Groot on those tight chokes. Amazing trying to spin to win with the Blaster Barrage. Pays for it a little bit. Good escape there. Has the team up with Rocket. Another one of those slept on team ups that works pretty well.
Yeah, it's a brutal pick on the Chime. Excellent work from Usher and Sentinel's side. We'll see if they can continue it up. I mean, 40% of the board right now. NRG Shock still play it slow. We've seen teams kind of go into this lurch sort of mode, like you said earlier, Shib, where they kind of, slowly work in, maybe try to build ults, go for that one-shot combo. But, sometimes you can choke that potentially as Rye. Oh, no! He goes down! But the BRB brings it back at least.
Yeah, and that's the value. Again, you might play like you're up a hero here, but you're not. And that's going to be, oh, wow, that was dirty. And still pays for it, though. Usher almost escaping that in the moment. There's a Glartrox. Where does it land, Chime? Does it find value? Sia gets committed. Renko doing the same, pulling out the bond, and the team takes point. Sentinels need to drop back and recommit here, but Dongmin, if he goes down, will be tough. But no, you can see Crimzo stalling, not even committing that ultimate, waiting, biding more time, trying to hold on to the point, and instead they're going to use the dance floor. This is smart, because then, oh my gosh, this is massive. Are you kidding, Usher? Oh my! Usher with the Quadra is going to push them off map and potentially take this home, forcing a portal.
And of course you'd stagger Bruce Banner. Why not? 90%. 91. Portal has to come in from Velocities now, sending over to Stratus to do so. Against so many ults, Madara waited maybe a little bit too long with that Groot ult because it has to come out clutch. Everybody surrounds. Everybody knows it's coming. They all play on the outside, though. They'll get everybody back in this fight. You just have that Cloak and Ultron healing, though. as both Vanguards have their ults. They could go absolutely huge, but Sentinels can stall on. Brute ult from Madara, Cap ult to follow it up. You also isolate Arova, who gets sent around. He takes the portal, though. And oh no, juggled by Window. That could end him, potentially, as Sentinels had the edge. Rai goes down. Both of the OG Sentinel players have been removed by Window, who can close out for NRG as they could potentially reclaim the point.
Rai is going to commit with that BRB, though. Back in the fight they go, and now numbers are going to be up for Sentinels, and that's the issue with the BRB. You get a false sense of hope as Yusher drops Madara, and the numbers are falling again here for Shock. Sentinels are stepping up. Are you joking me? Chime, it doesn't matter. Oh my goodness. Sentinels push this to game 5, folks.
A very incredible end for the side of Sentinels to capture that last round. Tie it up, Shib. So we go to that map 5, 2 map 5s on the day, and I lied, you guys were right. Blessed is today's matches. You sure going to be the MVP of that map and kind of the series so far. He's had a phenomenal tournament for this squad. And now we'll see what NRG want to go to next, because we take a look at that ban phase. That was a big deal, but obviously, like you mentioned, it was Yusher's Glartrox that sent NRG to that map 5, and now we all get to see, you know, what that map NRG wants to go to and take Sentinels to potentially send them home, because Sentinels at the moment on that map with Yusher just look great.
Dude, this has just been one of those are you not entertained moments. Just, I mean, can you ask for more here? Yusher, though, 16 finals, an absolute star on this team, has been showing up time and time again for them, but yeah, apparently can't give this opportunity for those Glartrox. A 4-piece right there in the fight was absolutely why they won that map.
Absolutely. And, you know, I also wonder, like, maybe there was even more edge to the side of NRG Shock. You know, maybe they could have thought about going over to the Phoenix or something, but we'll have to find out.
Okay, I'm convinced we counter-curse this. I'm convinced we just spoke another banger into existence. I mean, wow. I don't even know where to begin. This was just like such an incredible back and forth between those two teams. Again, we're seeing different kind of takes with their compositions, and it's the same individuals that also just once again absolutely pop off. Yusher was at 41k damage at the end there with 16 finals. I mean, excuse me? Like, no, that's not okay.
It's like they've got Kevin Feige on the script here. I don't know what to tell you. These games have just been lights out. So fun. And Christopher Nolan for this sake. I mean, these games are so fun to be a part of and to watch. I hope in the audience you're feeling the same way. I don't know who's got it at this point, but these have been bangers.
Yep.
Yep, they have. I mean, that's the thing right now is that these two teams, like for Sentinels squad, you know, you talked about them being a historic franchise. Now, NRG trying to come in and kind of take that throne. But, I mean, last map, it was just like both teams trying to play two different types of sustain. And it just felt like eventually, you know, one of those teams was going to fall, and that was NRG.
It's just so crazy, like, right? When one team goes up like 99-0, and then somehow, some way, another team like grinds their way back into it. Like the way Sentinels did that was just really, really impressive. And also in the end there, right, they held on to those ults, and then you had Amazing like literally at the last second using the ult, and the BRB comes in as well. They get those picks, enough time for the rest of the squad to rejoin on point. Like, those are nail biters, barn burners, like absolute incredible series we're seeing from both of these teams, both so worthy, so deserving of moving on in that lower bracket.
And they might. I mean, like honestly, between both these teams, at least between NRG and Sentinels, it's tough to see like kind of who the better team is. Like for the side of Sentinels, they love to play these Ultron comps, and same thing for NRG. It's like two teams that have the same kind of style and have had weird matchups. Obviously, Sentinels, when they were in the upper bracket, they had to play against Team Liquid, so we had to take that with a grain of salt. And then, you know, we go down the lower bracket where NRG looked very good, map number 1, but kind of turned it around slowly but surely. And for NRG, they had a really, again, another game 5 in the upper bracket versus we lost. Now to come down versus Sentinels in another map 5 has gotta, you know, kind of take a toll on your sort of mental and the endurance of a lot of these players, right?
I can't even fathom being in this position. I can't imagine what the teams are feeling now as we will be heading to Central Park. This is another one of those maps that we like to talk about. A lot of map 0.1 hold potential, and a lot of unique comps can be played here.
Yeah, and Sentinels, obviously, they're the team who likes to play those unique comps, whereas NRG Shock, they're the more traditional of the two, but we've definitely seen them, you know, flexing over when needed and also making very interesting adaptations to kind of try to counter what Sentinel has been throwing at them.
I think they've been doing the right plays mostly. You talked about it before, Zoe. Whenever they can play the Loki, they will. So for Sentinels, it looks like trying to figure out what the counter to that is and trying to figure out what to do, because every time Sentinels try to make an adjustment, NRG seems to be doubling down on theirs, which is just bunker up, everybody play together, we're going to play Hulk, we're going to play on the inside angle. I mean, hell, we might even see like a freaking Adam Warlock get thrown out there just because of the fact that at least you'd have that soul bond to share that HP. But sometimes, honestly, NRG are like overlaying cooldowns, which can kind of hold them back. It's, again, kind of a stamina issue maybe for the side of NRG as they come back and take them to maybe a map that Sentinels aren't as comfortable on in Central Park.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. You go ahead.
I was going to say this could be that Ultron ban map too. Like, I mean, Ultron's definitely more of a threat here. So the potential to have the ban come through is definitely, a problem. And also the threat of the comp is also a problem, right, Zoe?
Yeah, I actually expected to see more focus on Ultron, just given their first time when they met in week 2, because both teams actually played quite a bit of Ultron there. So I kind of expected it to come out more from NRG as well, not just from Sentinels. Alas, we just don't know. We don't know what's going on in their head, and that's why we have a lock and ban phase where we get a little bit of an insight on what they might be planning for this upcoming match. So let's see it. This is the 5th and final match, elimination on the line for NRG Shock and Sentinels.
And the final match guaranteed here, both of which going to Game 5, buddy. You know, you said we might have cursed ourselves with how good these matches have been, but I'll tell you what, we absolutely did not, because going the distance both times, seeing 100% to 100% on domination across the board, it has been insane today.
Yeah, it really has. It's a good point. I mean, like, across the board, too, the tough part is for Sentinels is we both have Elsa's locked in, Mantis removed for the side of NRG. And, you know, I imagine it's going to be the same thing for Sentinels. They've been doing the same ban phases throughout. But, I mean, yesterday, when we saw the Team Liquid versus Sentinels match, Team Liquid said it all, just like, we're making Sentinels laugh. Literally, we're spawn camped, or sorry, first point held. And then, like, I think there was, like, images of Rymazing laughing as his team just got dominated on the side of the map just because it was so hilarious and just crazy the situation they're in. But now they're on that map 5, and NRG took them to that map they just got first point held on. We've seen a lot of crazy first point holds on first point Central Park regardless. It just feels like a map where that's just destined to happen sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it does enable those weird compositions like Groot, shutting down front line, and then you have height. You know, this is one of those maps also I don't care. I don't hate the Angela, because you can contest the top right and left, which is great for flank angles, and it enables the team to essentially swoop you on defense when you're attacking. So that's on the table. I'm not saying it should come out the door, but it depends on what they're running. You said you could see Korova on the Atom. I don't know that he's going to be played in this meta, but this is one of those maps that does find its success because there's just easy res locations behind the point. But yeah, look at that. They're going to ban potentially the Groot from the side of NRG Shock. It might be the Jeff. They're debating between the two.
That wouldn't be a bad pick. I mean, it's been their last ban sometimes, but the Deadpool, Vanguard Deadpool gets through for the side of NRG Shock for the first time. And also, dude, it's kind of interesting how Korova just got subbed in map 2 and just hasn't looked back. Like, what? Poor Mir, dude. Mir loses one map, and then Korova gets subbed in. They're like, okay, goodbye, Mir. I'm done with you. You know, the Toy Story meme where he tosses away the toy. Poor Mir, man. But, you know, they're close to winning this series if they could potentially win on one of their, honestly, worst maps that they've had so far in the tournament.
Yeah, folks, but strap in. Final match, no matter what here. Attack and defense will be on the side first. You're going to see NRG Shock on the defense early on, Sentinels on the attack. And this is going to be an absolute heater, and we are going to see White Fox off rip here from Renko. One of those heroes that I think does a great job in just self-peel, can duel with DD if it's on the table, as well as things like Cap and even Venom, just staying healthy through the chaos of dive.
And looking back at the ban phase, like, we banned out the Wolverine to set up Crimzo, potentially to play, one of his classic characters once we get through all of these spectacles that the map of Central Park has to offer. But for Sentinels, obviously, as you guys mentioned, you have to wipe away what happened yesterday versus Team Liquid Citadel. It's a brand new day, and you also don't have to play against Wolverine. That's the big thing. No Wolverine pressure for the side of Crimzo because of the Invisible Woman ban. At least you remove that. But we'll see, Shib. Like you mentioned, this is it. It's now or never for Sentinels and NRG Shock as Sentinels takes the main stage on attack.
Yeah, I think it's a great ban. I think it's one of those Wolverine maps that is also really incredible. You can take the height and fly down and pull into the back line, and there's just no real angles for you to save the Wolverine, or whoever's being tackled by Wolverine, excuse me. Dongmin holding the space now, pulling some cooldowns, already 30% climbing. But look at Renko's ult charge and Flame's 80%. It's been seconds into this fight. Some really good consistent healing there. Everybody playing a little bit on their heels right now. You can tell there's nerves as the dive comes in from window onto the back line. Using that ban hammer. I'm not sure if it was already upgraded. Just significantly less damage and less threatening. Kurova finds Madara, though, early. And that's a good start there for Sentinels on the attack.
Window just pops the "what are you aiming at?" and just sees the rest of his team eviscerate the back line. Though, Portal's going to come in. However, he's got a touch, I think, because this Portal is going to show up a little bit late. Invisible Boundary's there. You have Renko touch to the backside, disengaged by Sentinels, but they need not go down. Oh no, Window. He took that spot on the top right of the side of the map and found the KO even through the crystals of Flame. So Flame too late. Kurova though trades back Window at the very least, who committed into that fight. But we'll see if that portal's up long enough for him to come back. They push up now, regardless, on the side of Sentinels. Meteor M close by Dong, but has to build it up. It's not up at it yet. Nusher also sitting back with the ultimate. Everybody peels off a ton of that damage as eventually Flame comes back as well. So disengaging it once more is the side of Sentinels.
You can see they're trying to free Ratatasker, the squirrel god. A little lore for you. Up there in the chains, being held by Dracula. And here goes the commitment once more. Immediately off the back of that Eternal Bond, walking in heavy. Crimzo with the Strangling Prison. It's massive in the back line. Out goes the dance floor. This could be massive. Here it is from Dongmin. Goodbye, Stinkers and Renko. What a combination in that moment. The dance floor is still holding on for velocity, but I'm not sure it'll be enough. Oh, the Glartrox falls. That's an off-map potential play right there. Does it land? We'll see in a moment. After potentially...
Somebody broke it, maybe.
Yeah,
I think it was,
I guess you're right.
I think it was Crimzo. He must have just had the damage up. I mean, Groot's damage is crazy. But now we walk up, get the KOs afterwards. Huge plays. Aya Wakamoto just useless on the side of NRG Shock. And we're heading to second phase. Sentinels finally break through the first point curse as we enter second part of the map with no ultimates for NRG Shock too.
Yeah, this is clean here from Sentinels. A lot of commitment in those fights from NRG, and then you saw Sentinels drop back and not commit too much in the fight. That NRG can, fully press Q, right? So that's the idea. You know when you can lose a fight and still have time. They had plenty of time on the clock. They dropped back. They lost one, regrouped, committed ults, and won immediately. It's just that simple. It's textbook clean play in a situation where nerves can definitely bring out mistakes. So well played there. NRG's got to lock back in here. No ults available. See what they're able to do. Down one, though, as they lose a few. Dongmin onto Velocity and Madara now, and a third falls from Yusher.
Hey, beautiful stuff from Dongmin. I mean, this is kind of what we've seen at the Dongmin in the group stages. Also earlier today with Necrorize. I think that these Magneto players have really stepped it up today. And finally, I think this is the first time we've seen Madara actually. Well, he played it once before earlier on in the series, but finally getting that head-to-head between these two squads. Sentinels still kind of steamrolling on through. It looks like that Wolverine ban has really helped them just feel confident in this front-to-back style of the group.
Yeah, Crimson's playing great. A huge ult, and it has a lot of neutral picks, too. We saw a three-piece there after, a ton of damage, and ults were committed. So cleaning up everybody is what you're looking for. That's why finals are so important. But there's going to be the retake. They drop back and commit again. They know they just need to have one big fight here before these ults are committed. Unfortunately, not able to catch it. It looks like Renko has an answer. Kurova commits. Amazing. Crimzo. Yes, and the combo is huge as everyone falls once more. And Sentinels should be able to get this point here unless a portal comes in time.
It is having to deal with Window, and unfortunately the tank pool has just not gotten the value that it did on the other maps. I mean, Window just kind of, again, watching the team go down. Window. Now we had 4 minutes on the third point, though. Regardless, Sentinels able to get a big root ult, like you mentioned. The Invisible Boundary was there from Renko a little bit too far forward, but regardless, they probably still would have gone down to Yusher, who was just capitalized off of every ult from Crimzo. Now, upcoming fight. They could follow up on this Glartrox, maybe use the Meteor M to help peel for it. Meanwhile, for NRG Shock, they have the Cloak and Dagger at the very least to go aggressive. Sentinels, same thing. We'll see in this upcoming fight, though, if they try to save the ultimate for the Cloak and Dagger, because, again, this time they don't have the Magneto for velocities.
Yeah, and that is another combination. Dongman's not missing right now on these Meteor M's. They are massive as velocity falls after committing that ultimate. Stinkers has ult available with Chime. The off-map potential is very much here. Yusher playing on the off angle. And that is a disgusting pick onto Window at the right time now. The Sentinels are still getting this point moving. And honestly, you want to defend this staircase for long, but they were not able to defend it in the slightest. Sentinels, even in ultimates, as Flame copies up.
Velocity's pissed. I mean, Medara's back over to the Magneto off of the Groot. Lartrox is out. But is it too late? He is hit by the vulnerability, and Sninkers is there to help, though. Okay, found two, but Usher, again, trades back a few. Also, the Cloak and Dagger ult is still here to give him so much sustain. Eventually, he goes down, and there's nobody else here now.
Wow.
For the side of NRG Shock. You just have Window bouncing around trying to do something, but what a snowball. What a steamroll for Sentinels.
I mean, dude, the Sentinels are awake. What is going on? They're playing so clean right now. I'm sure the Sentinel fans in the chat are stoked to see it. NRG Shock, they've been awake before. They've been in positions where they've struggled, and they've clutched up. Can they make that happen now? I'll tell you, though, that point 3 was brutal to watch. You got to find more time there on the clock, and not being able to do so is going to put them in a tough spot.
I mean, everybody popped off on Sentinels, but yeah, 100%, man. Like, Dongman, just point A to point C to the end of the map, just got everything done by himself, basically, or rather, just was always doing something. Even that yeet of a meteor at the very end. That's what I was talking about. Like, Velocity's kind of pissed because he's like, dude, we need to run Mag to block the Meteor M to save my Cloak and Dagger ult or whatever. And they're just don't match in that department. Like, I understand Mag is maybe not as strong as, like, Vanpool, for example, in terms of raw output, but the utility provided that Dongman had for every single one of these low-key copies into the Cloak and Dagger was just huge. On top of NRG Shock trying to, like, mix it up and play something similar to that, but just can't because they don't have the right pieces. Specifically, having that Loki ban has really bit them in the butt, and Sentinels seem to have adapted to that Jeff ban that happened on their side. And, Ship, that was just such a snowball, like you said. 2 minutes 32 in the bank is an incredible time to work with.
I think you called it out best early on, bud. Them removing that Wolverine has enabled Crimso's Groot to be such a threat. They just are unable to find a way to break through the pressure of these walls right now. There's been combos on ultimates nearly every single time, and they always get value. It's how they won point 1 and point 2. And point 3, honestly, I think was just a struggle from NRG. They just never found their footing. But I don't know how you stop it. You need damage, and you need to break these walls.
I mean, I probably have emphasized the Wolverine too much, but specifically, I think you're right with Sentinels because of the fact that, I mean, this team has never done well versus Wolverine on Central Park. Like, no matter what iteration of Sentinels it was, this team just struggled, like, with some way or whatever, whether it be how Crimzo plays, maybe the playstyle just doesn't match well with that sort of Wolverine stuff, but, I mean, the days of Terra just grabbing Human Torch out of the sky, right? Like, so many, like, Rymazing just laughing about how crazy it is. And then obviously yesterday when Team Liquid did the same thing, Team Liquid Citadel obviously doing their Wolverine stuff as well. So I don't know, maybe Sentinels just doesn't do good versus Wolverine on specific maps like Central Park.
And I think it's worth reiterating something we called out a while back. We said, you know, Sen really loves this Ultron comp, and this is a great map for Ultron, and it's available, and they're not running it, and they're finding success, right? So, and even as we head into defense here, or back in, as we're starting up again here in a moment, I mean, they are looking so much better. They don't need that comp to find success, that's for sure.
Yeah, hey, let's get back into it, baby. Heading into this map again. As Sentinels on defense sitting pretty, but NRG Shock, you know, they can make it work slowly but surely. And they've switched it up a little bit. They got Renko back, or sorry, Velocity back on that Cloak and Dagger. Again, running Mag. This time it's Window on the Groot. Is their change up? With the Loki, Cloak and Dagger, I wonder if that's going to be the difference maker. No, okay, Dogman's dead already. Never mind.
Yeah, and this is a very similar story to what we saw. Great wall there, playing off and immediately finding one. Rymazing going to be stuck back in that moment. Everybody else taking the height. That's an interesting flank position. I wonder if it's going to work out, buy them enough time. It looks like they're not attacking it hard enough. I guess it's too threatening. Chime. Oh, this is massive. Wow, Chime. Disgusting play there. Clean movement on Elsa. You know what? Shout out to the fact that that's going to get a little bit of a nerf because that was just impossible to handle. Well played there by Chime, breaking these walls quickly. Notice the focus there on walls again. This is something they needed to change up, and they're doing just that. Crimso taking a ton of damage, but the point's already almost taken. They got to get on this point quickly. They're there now. Strangling Prison gets committed. It looks like Stinkers finds one onto Flame in the back line. Chime taking height, and the boundary is out now. Match right back.
Here comes the dinner time from Chime into the group, but actually nobody goes down just yet. Usher still has his. Stinker's able to find Dongman, though, after the Glartrox, and okay, nice follow-up, too, after the Cloak and Dagger all keeps them all healthy. So Sentinels get wiped off right into the second point, and that was almost as quick as Sentinels' attack was. You notice that, like, very interesting angle shib, but it just didn't pan out for him on that hold.
Yeah, now NRG's angry, right? They're looking like a team that's a similar position. A ton of time on here, but I would say that this phase right here in 3 are really where you can tell what the momentum of the game looks like. I think pushing point 2 quickly is a testament to giving you enough to push through 3, because point 2, we just see a lot of spawn favor for the defensive side. There's a lot of height advantage. We'll see if they can use it properly. Commitment comes through. No answer just yet. Walling off to try to find a pick, but down goes Window. Amazing with some good damage.
Finds 2, and now going over to that Phoenix to sort of mirror on the opposite side. I kind of like it as well, considering they haven't really shown a want to go over to that Wolverine. At least you play something that can deal with the Groot a little bit, deal with the back line. But now Energy Shock on their offense. What do they want to do? What do they want to set up here? I mean, they've got Meteor M combination with the Phoenix Ultimate. How do Sentinels react to it? Lartrox, okay, you sure just, with a sneaky play. What a nice shot.
Wow.
What a nice little angle, unexpected out of really everybody here. I mean, that was nice from Sentinels.
And Dogman's really showing the power of a strong main Vanguard here, playing great when it comes to this Magneto and just shutting down this Cloak and Dagger that's being, forced to play just due to the nature of all the strategists being banned out on these sides. Or, we're going to see if that, pans out in their favor as a whole, and force Moderate on the switch as well to the Mag. A little more, bringing us back a few seasons back to this composition we're seeing besides the Elsa.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, back to the good old days. 2 patches ago. Now here comes that Groot ult on the backside. Greens to keep him healthy for a bit longer, but again, no Shroud ults after. Meteor M now comes out after, though, to peel.
Bang.
Boom, into Window. See you later. Also, Phoenix comes out to help focus everybody back towards that spawn door. Excellent peel job from Dongman, like you called that earlier, Shib, and we're, again, another fight lost for NRG as they hold on to ults at least.
Yeah, I mean, the forced retake here, they do have ult advantage, but they should, if they're tracking properly. No, Korova and Crimzo are at that position right now. I know Aramori did a lot of the tracking for them in the past. Curious now for Sentinels who's on that duty. As we see ults just fly out for both sides. Commitment comes through. Meteor M. This could be a huge land from downtown, not able to make it work. Great point of entry there with Cloak. As we can see Chime get that pick on a Crimzo.
Yeah, vulnerability inside Crimson going down is huge, though, because that removes the ult. And oh gosh, they used another ult from Flame here just to stall on a little bit longer. Also, looks like nobody's going to the Doctor Strange to help kind of stall it out, but Energy Shock already had the edge. It was an excellent dodge, like you said, out of Makarova. But regardless, losing Crimson kind of set them back, and, now they get another fight lost for the side of Sentinels. Regardless, Energy Shock at least used both Stratus ultimates. Here we go. Window again with that Groot ult. It's going to be Groot on Groot action. Yusher has had some really big Lartroxes so far throughout the series. I think Chime's been a little bit more quiet on that department. But we'll see if Sentinels can actually pop off with that. I mean, they'll even commit 2 ultimates to the upcoming fight if Energy Shock don't have a good spot.
Oh my, that was disgusting on the combo. Can they make anything happen? Great wall there to buy time, and it's answered back. Can they find value? They do. Dongman able to make that work. What an ult there from Window, but what an even better answer from Crimson holding that Ironwood wall. Sometimes that's the only answer you need. A lot of damage coming through here. Korova with a ton of healing, using that wall to bide more time. Sometimes that's worth it, so you don't always want to hide the wall. Gartrox goes out onto Yusher, gets a pull and gets a pick on a Velocity from the moon. Lands down on him, and Sentinels are again taking priority and finding Window and this point pressure.
There you go. That's beautiful. I mean, kind of like you would see with those plays. You would just go aggressive with Yusher, bubble him off. Madara now stuck on the left side. Energy Shock playing a little scared like we talked about earlier. They can still make this work. They can sort of, claw themselves back into the series if they just get one fight win, but Sentinels have ults. They have double Stratus ultimates. I mean, Madara would have to go big, shut them down. Same thing for Dongman on the opposite side with the Cloak and Dagger coming up, or Renko in this fight.
We see Crimzo finding Window there. It's going to be the first pick now for the side of Sentinels. Energy Shock forced out a lot of ultimates there with no avail. They are crumbling right now. Yusher with another pick onto Stinkers. Renko, though, a nice trade there onto Korova. And there is just a ton of damage being pumped out in that back right corridor. But the pressure on point is in Sentinels' favor. This is their match to lose right now with ult advantage.
It's been tough map for Madara so far. I mean, he's had really hard angles to hit this Cloak and Dagger. Excellent movement from Korova and crew. 16 seconds left to go. Energy Shocks. Tournament life on the line. Can they get it done? Walking forward with only Velocity's ultimate. But oh gosh, it's too late. Window goes down. Meteor M from Dongman. That could hit into Velocities after the meteor, or after the bubble runs out, but no, it's not. Regardless, everybody's still low on that payload. Nobody else to sustain for Energy Shock as Velocity's ult eventually runs dry. Groot ultimate out at the very end. Velocity's in it, and as is Madara. And revenge is here for Team Sentinels after the group stages. They look like they're going to get it done, although overtime slowly tweaks down. Window comes back with the portal, but one after another. Does the staggers work out for them? No. Glartrox could end it. And it doesn't even need to come. Sentinels win 3-2 over NRG Shock.
The underdogs do it once again. Sentinels, for some reason in these clutch moments in Ignite, always seem to step up. Congratulations to Sentinels. What an absolute banger of a series. And way to lock in on the attack there to buy you plenty of time on that defense. This has been insane to witness.
It's such a different way, I think, to go about it, too, for both of these squads. But, I mean, the Loki and Cloak and Dagger stuff has been so good. We've seen some bans even come through the Cloak and Dagger later on. But again, once they went for that Loki ban, like Zoe brought up earlier, I just feel like it's been tough for, I think, for Velocities to get anything done for this NRG Shock side. They just weren't as clean without the Loki crystals to keep everybody healthy, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, I think there were so many different things that worked well for their comp there. Also, like, just as a whole, looking at the stat line, everyone performed. Everybody did their job and found a ton of value. Yusher, obviously, once again, so much value. But then you can say, shout out Flame, who goes out with 53k healing. And we, like you're saying, you know how clutch those crystals are in times like this. And Dongmin on that Magneto for the entirety of the game was super valuable. A lot of huge Meteor M's. Multiple in both attack and defense and shutting down ultimates. Crimzo with huge ultimates. Rye dealing some strong damage. Everybody got a piece of the pie. This team just looked like a totally different team today.
Yeah. I just love it when they don't have to play the Wolverine. But, I mean, Zoe, phenomenal series there, right? Another 5-mapper. You were right. Not cursed, just blessed on today's matches for sure.
Just blessings across the board. Yeah, what a phenomenal performance. It's great to see Sentinels getting their revenge. This was the rematch from week 2 of groups. NRG took that one, which is funny because in that initial matchup, it was Sentinels considered the favorite, so it was considered an upset that NRG Shock took it. Now heading into today's match, we all kind of had NRG picked as the favorite just based on the recent performance. Even just here in the playoffs, right? Because Sentinels are coming off of quite a beatdown in their quarterfinal match. So for them to like rally again, short turnaround, like literally from yesterday to today, and then like put up such a show, absolutely incredible. I loved what we've seen from them. A lot more versatility in their composition, which is what we kind of criticized them for, right? We wanted to see like different looks. They heavily focused on like the trip strat, but we got to see a lot more 2-2-2. That seemed much more comfortable for them, and they got a lot more done with it. And also, we had Karova back in the mix. 100% playoff win rate in 2026 for Karova. Love to see that.
Yeah, just biased stat line. Small sample size, of course, just like we talked about before, right? So
yeah, but that's like the fine print. Like, I don't need to read that.
Have it on the bottom. Have it in the TOS
Exactly.
for sure. But I think like this Sentinel squad, like, imagine for everybody else as well. Like, I feel like the group stage of Zoe was like the overall group stage was chaotic, right? Like, that was insane. So everybody after that's like, okay, in the predictions for the playoffs, let's try to make it simple for us. Let's go back, play it safe. And then that's just not the case. Like, NRG loses to, yeah, we lost. And then, obviously, Sentinels win today. So everybody tried to play it safe. And, again, predictions in shambles, like you said at the very top of the show, Zoe.
We absolutely love that, though. But it is, like, interesting that from yesterday and today, as a whole, if we're looking at the meta, I do see some shifts. I do see teams using things that we haven't really seen at all during the groups, like Cloak and Dagger. You guys talked about it at the very end there, right? Having a massive impact here. And they would have had that impact during the group stage as well. Where is this suddenly coming from? Like, why is Cloak and Dagger back in the mix?
Sure. Yeah, we saw a lot more of it in the last patch, just due to the fact that Cloak, she's really good, but things have changed a little bit on the strategist front. But outside of that, it's more so the strategists were getting hard targeted in terms of bans. And when you have Loki available, Cloak and Dagger is ever more present because you can farm ult incredibly quickly. The idea of having an answer all the time and being able to use Cloak more offensively to move forward and push forward, which we saw a lot of the initiation of fights come from, it is a big advantage. But outside of that, I mean, the downside is having a really solid Magneto player, and both teams had some very solid Magneto play, but I think Dongmin came out on top and just was crushing Cloak and Dagger.
And to add on to that, too, I mean, Chib made some excellent points. I think that's the majority of the reason why Cloak's been good. And then also in North America, Chib, like, and so we don't have that many good, like, Wolf players or, like, players that can pull people out of the Cloak hole. It's tough. I mean, it's a huge, like, radius for sure, but like, it's all of these things, the mag players, the really, not as prevalent Wolverine players, that's enabling her for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, Yeah, I'm not at this point. This is America's region is the bracket busters. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what 14 people got over above 80% in the early group stages. And we're heading into playoffs. I can't wait to hear the numbers again because things have just been crazy.
Yeah, the number will be low. So there is that. I don't think anyone's bracket is still alive, actually. I think that statistic will be a lie. I just don't believe it. I just simply don't believe it. And if they are, then I don't know what those people have been on when they made that prediction, because it wasn't based on statistics or anything. Now, my favorite statistic today was definitely that Karova is here with 100% win rate, and that's why we get Karova in for this post-match interview. Hello, congratulations, welcome to the show. First of all, how do you feel? You're being back in the mix, back in action. The chat was hype, we were hype. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Oh, it feels good to finally play some games. I took a little bit of a break, but now we're back in full force.
Let's talk about that then. What was the decision, or how was the decision being made to sub you back in here today for that second map?
Well, okay, so the decision was, according to my team, it was like, if things don't go too well, because we were kind of hitting like a little bit of like a slump moment, and we just needed something like refreshing. But if map 1 didn't go well, they were just gonna sub me in and just see how it felt, right? And then the other point as well was that we needed someone that could actually play Cloak, and Mir doesn't have like as much time on Cloak as I do. So I kind of had a little bit of like the advantage there, since we kind of expected to play a little bit more Cloak into NRG.
Yeah, I think compared to like every other team we've seen, you guys are like, in both teams, you and NRG feel like you have played similar styles. Is that like kind of going back to when you guys were, Velocities, you guys kind of are in the same sort of train of thought almost? Like, I feel like he wants to play a lot of Loki. You obviously, you started banning it towards the end. Do you feel like you have a similar sort of train of thought as Energy Shock, as that went, the distance to 5 maps?
Honestly, I think no. I think we unironically don't really want to play the brawl stuff like they do, but for whatever reason, every single time we play that team, we end up in a brawl v brawl beer. And it's just like, all right, well, if we
dude,
yeah,
you guys were like outdoing each other. Like, you would like go Hulk to like help, like, or they went Hulk to help Peel in the bunker more. Like, that just got who could one up each other a little bit more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
but
awesome.
you can see that we were definitely leaning a little bit more into the dive and the actual game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have so many questions I want to ask you. First off, you've got to be stoked. Coming in with an awesome win rate, looking like a hero, dude. That's just that hype. It's good to see you again, buddy, but you got to be hyped. I can't imagine what that feels like. The mentality shift from your team. The first question I want to ask is, what did it look like going into these maps? You guys going down early, bouncing back, and the domination coming back and looking clean. What shifted in terms of communication that allowed you guys to take this home?
I think we kind of just like needed to calm down a little bit more like on our feet, just like stand on business, like if we're going to commit for a play, we're going to commit to it as a team. We're not going to dilly-dally around and just like wait for things to happen. Like we're going to force things to happen, we're just going to play the game.
Beautiful. I think that's how you have to play. Beautiful.
How do you feel in the current form of Sentinel? They stack up against the rest of the competition here in the playoffs.
I think it could be anyone's game. I feel like it's whatever team shows up, because I've seen like the craziest upsets, especially the past few days, where it's just like whoever shows up on match day is the team that wins, and that's what it all comes down to, right? Like, you can be as good, like really, really good at practice, but like if you just have like 1 or 2 bad days leading before a tournament, like it can really, really like mess up your rhythm and your tempo.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. And I mean, certainly the last 2 days have showed that every team came to play. That's why the matches have been so close. It's been an absolute blast to watch you and the team in action today, Karova. I hope we get you on the show again very soon for another chat. For now, rest up and best of luck in your upcoming match.
Thank you. Take care.
GG's, buddy.
Thank you. And with that, Sentinels are moving on in the lower brackets. A heroic performance from the entire team. Adjustments were made across the board. We do have to say goodbye to Energy Shock, which is also sad, right? We will see them, of course, again in stage 1. They put up a show in the playoffs, though.
Yeah.
They went the distance in their quarterfinal match. They went the distance again here in the lower bracket. Like, they really wanted this. They played so hard.
They did, man. Like people. Sorry to cut you off, shit, but like, yeah, people don't understand how much time these guys put into the game and in preparation. Even the guys not in the tournament and stuff. And you know, I'm proud of every player today, and for sure, I think everybody is, considering how they, you know, really matched up well against Sentinels at the very end, even though they are out of the preseason.
Yeah, I mean, I want to use the same sentiment. I had them moving on heavy in this tournament. I think they're a team that is incredibly talented. They're young in terms of together, though. They are a new team together. They have the talent. I think they just struggled over the last 2 days. They were a team that really showed up early on in this preseason, but struggled in the playoffs. And I'm sure it's not the last we're going to be seeing of that squad, for sure.
Couldn't agree more. Those are great takeaways. I think my main takeaway from this last series was, what did you say? I need to put it back together. You can't be hurt by a monster if you're dancing? Was that what you said, Jim? I don't even know what it was about, but I feel like that should go on a t-shirt.